Chapter 2094. Lei Tianba closed his eyes and absorbed the primordial lightning god's power. His aura became even more terrifying, and it was as if there was a formless electric field around him that caused everyone's hairs to stand on end. The purple light that shot out was the fifth lightning god's legacy power. After shooting out this legacy power, the light from the stone statue's forehead gradually weakened. Finally, the light and aura from the stone statue disappeared, signifying that Lei Tianba had obtained the fifth lightning god's legacy power. This number was quite shocking, and he only had one less legacy power than Yuchan. After absorbing all of the primordial lightning god's legacy power, Lei Tianba revealed an excited smile. After absorbing the primordial lightning god's legacy power, his strength had increased by a large amount and he had become quite terrifying. However, not long after, Lei Tianba sensed something and immediately took out a glass orb. This glass orb was only as big as a longan fruit and was quite transparent, and it gave off an intense green light. This caused Lei Tianba to feel quite startled. The glass orb was a miraculous treasure, and there were only two of them. If one of them was in danger, the other glass orb would sense it as well. Now that the glass orb was giving off an intense green light, this meant that his little brother was in great danger. Even though Lei Tianba looked quite rough, he cared a lot about brotherhood. Even though his little brother was weaker than him, Lei Tianming still cared a lot about this big brother of his. Seeing that Lei Tianming was in trouble, Lei Tianba did not hesitate and turned into a purple bolt of lightning and shot into the sky. A few hours later, Lei Tianba relied on the glass orb's senses and hurried to the place. He saw Lei Tianming lying on the ground covered in blood, and he was quite shocked. He hurriedly went up and picked up Lei Tianming's body and checked his injuries. He found that they were quite serious and he roared furiously, "Which bastard did this? I'll definitely kill him." At that moment, some godly spirits had not left yet. Seeing how furious Lei Tianba was, they felt quite afraid. Now that the enmity between Lei Tianba and the Godsizer had been set, Lei Tianba would take revenge for his little brother. There would definitely be a battle between them, and when that time came, they would be able to see just how terrifying a battle between geniuses was. Because Lei Tianba's abilities came from a terrifying faction, and he was also very strong, some people eagerly ran in front of Lei Tianba and told him what had just happened. After hearing these words, Lei Tianba became even more furious. That person had not only heavily injured his little brother, he had also humiliated him and his brother. This was absolutely intolerable. Lei Tianba felt an intense killing intent towards Zhao Fu. He really wanted to kill Zhao Fu right now. Now that so much time had passed, that person should have long since escaped. As such, Lei Tianba didn't chase after him. He first treated Lei Tianming's injuries. Following this, Lei Tianming slowly woke up. Seeing Lei Tianba in front of him, Lei Tianming's expression became quite unsightly, unable to face Lei Tianba. "Big brother, I was defeated by someone. It's because I'm not strong enough that you were humiliated. This time I understand just how strong I am and just how big of a gap there is between us. I swear that I will train with all my might in the future and defeat that person. I will make that person pay the price he deserved." Lei Tianba smiled as he comforted him, saying, "I'll take care of this matter. Right now, you should focus on recovering." Lei Tianming could tell what Lei Tianba meant and said earnestly, "Big brother, that person is incredibly terrifying. If you meet him, you must be careful." Lei Tianba nodded seriously. Following this, news spread that Lei Tianba was offering a massive reward for finding the Godstealer. Anyone who told Lei Tianba where that person was would receive the massive reward. News of Lei Tianming and Zhao Fu's relationship quickly spread. That person is quite daring. Not only did he steal some ordinary godly spirit's divine power, but he even dared to steal from Lei Tianba's little brother. Did he not know who that person is? Is he someone that ordinary people can offend? I also heard that not only did that person easily defeat Lei Tianming, but he also humiliated his two brothers, saying that they weren't a match for him and that they were just two pieces of trash that he could casually defeat. Those words are too arrogant. No wonder Lei Tianbao was so furious and spent such a massive reward to find that person. That's right. Just who is that person? He dares to so brazenly look down on a peerless genius. I'm not sure who he is, but I heard that his power is incredibly terrifying and isn't any weaker than a peerless genius. Perhaps he won't lose to Lei Tianba, and perhaps we'll be able to see a world-shaking battle. I'm also looking forward to the battles between the experts in the later stages of the competition. When that time comes, all of us will be eliminated, and those that remain will all be incredibly terrifying. The battles between them will definitely be incredibly intense. I wonder if that person is the King of Kings. If he joins, the competition will be 10 or so times more exciting. If he doesn't come, the competition will lose some of its luster. This news also reached God Kerr's ears. Before, God Kerr had been using historical remnants and legacies to increase his power, and his goal was to defeat the two possessors of Emperor Stars. As such, he naturally did not have time to worry about anything else. However, now that he had heard about that God-stealer, he felt quite startled. That person had stolen so many godly spirits' divine power, and it was very likely that he had the ability to devour 10,000 godly spirits. However, this ability was incredibly rare, and he was the only person at the center of the godly world who had it. How could there be another person with such an ability? Moreover, this ability was completely dependent on a certain person. Could it be that that person had come to the secret realm? Thinking to there, God Kerr's expression became quite serious, and it even became slightly unsightly. He could not help but feel nervous about that person's arrival. God Kerr immediately tried to sense it, but it could not sense anything. What was going on? It should have been able to sense that person's arrival, but it could not sense anything. Could it be that that person had just coincidentally obtained the ability to devour 10,000 godly spirits? After thinking about it, it realized that it could only devour divine power, while that person could devour divinity. Evidently, that person was far more powerful than that person. This allowed God Kerr to let out a sigh of relief. However, it did not completely ignore that person. Perhaps that person was related to the person it had been worried about. As such, God Kerr announced that it was searching for that God-stealer, and whoever found it would be greatly rewarded. After hearing this, everyone felt quite surprised. Why was God Kerr also participating? This matter did not seem to have anything to do with him. Now that he was participating, things became even more lively. Chapter 2095. Boom, boom, boom. 3 massive explosions sounded out as a tall and slim figure wearing a palace dress and a necklace with a bell around its neck gave off an intense golden light from its forehead. It gave off a massive wave of world power and shot out 3 golden rays of light. The 3 golden rays of light landed on the 3 women's bodies, and they were the 3-time goddesses. The 3-time goddesses had their eyes closed as they absorbed the ancient time god's legacy power. These 3 legacy power were the 3rd legacy power. Each time, there would be 3 legacy power, so there would be 9 legacy power. The 3-time goddesses had each received 3 legacy power, leaving only 1 legacy power. Even though each of them had only received 3 legacy power and could not compare to those peerless geniuses, the 3 of them as a group had received 9 legacy power, which was quite shocking. Moreover, the 3 of them represented the past, present, and future. When the 3 powers fused together, they became world time power, and after absorbing the ancient time god's power, their power would become many times more terrifying than before. At that moment, the light and aura from the statue's forehead gradually weakened before disappearing. The statue had left behind 1 legacy power, giving the 3 goddesses 9 legacy power. Right now, the 3 goddesses had their eyes closed, and their bodies gave off a faint light as they refined time power. The time god was the rarest godly spirit and also the most special godly spirit. His power was different from ordinary power, and refining it was quite complicated. Fat Cat, who was lying on the ground and hugging the jade bottle, happily looked at the three goddesses. It understood that its three owners had all obtained great benefits. Then, it happily took another whiff of the fragrance from the jade bottle and revealed an intoxicated expression. It was a pity that there was only so much of this sacred blood wine. If it could drink a little every day, how great would that be? However, that was impossible. This sacred blood wine required the blood of holy sons to be brewed, so where would it go to obtain holy blood? Back then, it had almost been caught for this small bottle of sacred blood wine. Forget it, it did not want to think about these things anymore. Fat Cat took another whiff of the wine fragrance and looked intoxicated. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind it, reaching out a hand to grab Fat Cat by the nape of its neck, lifting Fat Cat up. Meow meow meow. Fat Cat hugged the jade bottle and cried out in panic, not noticing that someone had appeared behind it. Fat Cat wanted to use its time power to escape, but it found that there was a power that had sealed its time power. In the end, Fat Cat turned around in fear, wanting to know who had grabbed her. But when Fat Cat turned its head and saw the person, it was so scared that its fur stood on end. It didn't even care about the wine bottle it was holding and struggled with all its might, meowing for help. Zhao Fu was quite happy and smiled as he held the Fat Cat and said, "Silly cat. You can't escape now, can you?" 10 or so minutes ago, Zhao Fu had robbed quite a few godly spirits of their power. He had wanted to find a secluded place to refine the divine power, but he suddenly sensed his bloodline's aura. Because the sacred blood wine was made with Zhao Fu's blood as the main ingredient, even though it had been turned into wine, there would still be some residual aura. Perhaps ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense this aura, but as the owner of the blood, Zhao Fu could easily sense it. After sensing this aura, Zhao Fu was quite surprised. He had never been here before, so why would there be his aura here? Curious, Zhao Fu followed the aura and found the entrance to the Time Master God's legacy land. This was relatively easy because the entrance to the land of inheritance had remained there ever since it opened. From afar, Zhao Fu could see that the hanging bell gave off a golden light and floated in midair. When Zhao Fu sensed the aura from the hanging bell, he was quite surprised. This was the Time Master God's legacy land. If he could obtain the Time Master God's legacy power, he would have powerful time power, and there would be no need for him to search for the Time God. After Zhao Fu returned to Qin City, he would be able to mass-produce Philosopher's Stones. This was incredibly important to both Zhao Fu and Qin City, so Zhao Fu immediately flew over. The golden bell emitted waves of time ripples in the air. They were like waves of golden light that kept spreading out. These ripples didn't cause any damage, but they were very difficult to defend against. This was because if one rushed over, the time ripples would push one back to where one was. This was time power, not ordinary power, so it was quite difficult to defend against those ripples. However, even though time power was quite special and powerful, when it was powerful to the extreme, it could tear through space and stop time. Zhao Fu himself had a few ultimate powers that could tear through time power. Zhao Fu used the killing sword intent. Zhao Fu took out the Emperor killing sword and lightly cried out, "Killing sword master!" Boom! An almost corporeal killing intent and sword intent exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as his eyes gave off a black and blood-red light, and his body gave off a terrifying and cold aura. The surrounding temperature quickly fell, becoming incredibly dangerous and making people's hairs stand on end. The golden bell in front of him gave off waves of golden light, and Zhao Fu raised the Emperor killing sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it, causing it to give off an intense black and blood-red sword light. Boom! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a terrifying black and blood-red sword light containing power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything slashed out. The spreading waves of mental light were directly slashed apart. Zhao Fu grasped this opportunity and flew into the Golden Bell. After arriving at the Legacy Land, Zhao Fu saw a familiar figure lying on the ground, hugging a jade bottle and looking quite satisfied. Zhao Fu immediately understood what was going on and could not help but feel quite happy. Last time, he had paid a great price and made all sorts of preparations, but in the end, that fat cat had still escaped and lost the divine blood wine that he had worked so hard to make. It was simply a humiliation. This time, he had to catch that fat cat no matter what. Zhao Fu used the celestial concealment medallion that Xian Lu had given him to hide his aura and put on a bracelet. This bracelet was called the Time-Sealing Bracelet, and its effect was to suppress time power. Zhao Fu had spent a lot of money to buy it, and it was specifically used to deal with the time god. Following this, Zhao Fu stealthily walked over. Because he was worried that the fat cat would discover him, Zhao Fu was quite careful with every step he took. The fat cat hugged the wine bottle and did not sense any danger, which was why this scene had happened. Chapter 2096. The three time goddesses heard the fat cat's terrified and panicked cries and understood that something had gone wrong. They hurriedly opened their eyes and looked towards the fat cat's direction, only to see a cloaked figure pick up the fat cat with one hand. Fat cat continued to struggle in his hands, meowing non-stop, calling out to them for help. The three-time goddesses immediately flew over, and Shurya called out angrily, "Who are you? Hurry up and let Lil Jiu go." Shurya's expression was quite serious because Zhao Fu did not give off his aura, and he gave off an extremely dangerous feeling. Zhao Fu looked at the three women and lightly laughed as he said, "Who am I? This damned cat stole something from me. Who do you think I am?" Hearing this, Shurya felt quite startled. What they had been worried about had happened, and they had even come to find them. Shurya knew that they were in the wrong and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, Lil Jiu likes wine too much, so she stole your wine. We'll compensate you, so please let Lil Jiu go." Zhao Fu had a smile on his face as he looked at the fat cat. The fat cat did not struggle and looked at Zhao Fu pitifully, wanting Zhao Fu to let it go. Zhao Fu could already sense that the three women were all time gods, and they were not ordinary time gods either. Moreover, they seemed to have just obtained the time god's legacy. If he could subdue them, it would be 10 or so times better than having time power. After all, Zhao Fu had too much power, and he could not focus on cultivating a single type of power. As such, even if Zhao Fu obtained the time god's legacy power, he would not be able to develop it to its full potential. This would naturally not be as effective as a time god, so it would be best if he could subdue them. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course I can let it go. As for compensation, I see that the three of you are quite good. How about becoming my subordinates?" Shurya did not expect Zhao Fu to say this, and she looked at her big sister. Shi Ning also looked at her elder sister. They did not have any thoughts of becoming someone else's subordinate. Firstly, they were of noble status to begin with. Secondly, they had come out this time for the primordial time sovereign's power. Once they obtained it, they would return to their faction. Shi Kuan looked at Zhao Fu sternly. "I'm sorry. We can't agree to this request of yours. Why don't you tell us something else? If we can do it, we will do our best to fulfill it." Zhao Fu's smile faded. "Whether you agree or refuse, you must submit to me today." Shi Gui's expression changed slightly. There was nothing she could say now. Zhao Fu was tyrannically trying to subdue them and did not care about their opinions. "Do you really want to do this? We don't want to fight with you and are willing to compensate you with all kinds of things, but don't go too far." Shurya and Shi Ning's expressions were serious as they looked at Zhao Fu. They understood that the battle was about to begin. Zhao Fu sneered, "I only want you to submit to me now. Clang, 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 a massive aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as chains containing terrifying power shot out from the ground, shooting towards the three women incredibly ferociously. Shi Gui's gaze became serious and he stretched out a hand, causing a massive wave of time energy to flow out and spread out. The chains quickly lost control and retracted back into the ground. Zhao Fu did not look surprised because he had fought with the time god before. He immediately lightly shouted, "Celestial mode, activate!" Boom! A massive aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, turning into a wild gale. A rainbow-colored aura flame appeared around Zhao Fu's body as a celestial aura spread out, seeming to lock down spacetime. The chains that had retracted into the ground were instantly dyed with rainbow-colored light and broke free from the bindings of time. They gave off terrifying power as they once again shot towards the three women. Shi Gui's expression did not change. He stretched out his hand and swiped to the side, causing a wave of golden energy to spread out. Bang! 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 The rainbow-colored chains gave off immense power as they automatically shot to the side. The countless rainbow-colored chains pierced through the ground, resulting in massive sounds. Rocks flew everywhere and many holes appeared. Shi Gui once again said, "We really don't want to become enemies with you. I'll say it one last time, we can compensate you with things, but we definitely won't submit to you." Shi said somewhat angrily, "We already said that we're willing to compensate you, yet you still want to attack us. You're too much of a bully. We're not people who can be bullied so easily." Shi Ning did not say anything and coldly stared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the three time goddesses seriously. Their time energy was quite powerful, and they could even forcefully twist the chains that contained celestial power. If he could not break their time energy, it would be very difficult to harm them. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu coldly laughed and took out the emperor-killing sword. A wave of power locked down the fat cat, and he threw it to the ground, saying, "I want to see just how powerful your time god is." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a terrifying aura spread out. The rainbow-colored aura flame around Zhao Fu's body disappeared and traces of black and blood-red sword chi came out of Zhao Fu's black cloak. A massive wave of killing intent and sword intent flowed out, and the air seemed to be unable to withstand it and started to twist. An extremely dangerous aura spread out, and the world seemed to fall into hell as the sky became blood-red. Zhao Fu held a black and blood-red sword as he stood there, his eyes giving off dense blood-red light. His body gave off traces of blood-red aura and his body became hazy, seeming both real and illusory, as if he was a celestial of slaughter. Zhao Fu had not left his celestial mode, and now that his killing sword intent and celestial mode fused together, his power was incredibly terrifying. Sensing this power, Shi Gui and the other two women's expressions fell as they felt terror, and their bodies instinctively trembled. Boom! Zhao Fu's body turned into a blur as he quickly rushed at Shi Gui. His aura was incredibly ferocious, and he looked like a terrifying monster rushing at him. Shi Gui stretched out a hand and a wave of golden energy flowed out. Time seemed to stop as a golden shield formed. With the stop time as the shield, it was as if one was in a different time. This attack was incredibly powerful and could block almost all attack. Xing. However, Zhao Fu turned into a blur as he appeared in front of the golden shield. He casually slashed out with his sword and a black and blood-red sword arc containing extremely sharp power instantly cut through the stop time, causing it to once again flow. Shi Gui's expression fell and she hurriedly called out to the two goddesses beside her, "Hurry and leave. This person is too powerful." As she spoke, Zhao Fu's body turned into a blur as he instantly arrived in front of Shi Gui, and his sword gave off terrifying power as he slashed towards Shi Gui. Chapter 2097. Seeing that their big sister's life was in danger, Shi and Shi Qua naturally could not leave. They stretched out a hand and a wave of golden time energy flowed out of their bodies, forming two golden spears. Boom! Boom! The two golden time spears gave off terrifying golden light as they shot towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly. At that moment, Shirkuo's body gave off a wave of time energy as a golden vortex appeared around him. The surrounding time became chaotic, and Shirkuo wanted to use this chaotic time as a defense to block Zhao Fu's incoming sword strike. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the chaotic time was slashed apart and the golden vortex was split in two. Shirkuo's body was also hit by a powerful sword energy and was sent flying backwards. At that moment, the two spears gave off terrifying power as they shot towards Zhao Fu. These two-time spears could not be dodged at all, as they would change according to time and would definitely hit their target. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out with his sword, sending out a terrifying black and blood-red sword energy that destroyed the two golden spears and caused a massive gale to dissipate. A trace of blood leaked out of Shirkuo's mouth, and he understood that they would not be able to escape. They could only stay and fight. Only then would they have a chance of survival. He said, "This person is too powerful, we need to combine our powers." Shi and Shi Ning looked at Zhao Fu in shock as he destroyed the two spears. This was the first time they had seen such a terrifying person. Hearing Shirkuo's words, the two of them came to their senses. Only by combining their time energy would they have a chance of stopping that person. At that moment, Zhao Fu moved incredibly quickly, leaving behind afterimages as he appeared in front of the two of them. He once again slashed out and an incredibly sharp blood-red arc of light slashed towards the two of them, seeming to be able to slash apart everything. Shi and Shi Ning's bodies were slashed apart and turned into countless afterimages that dissipated. These were not their corporeal bodies but afterimages that they had left behind. Boom! 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 By then, Shi Tai's team of three was standing together. The three of them unleashed a formidable power of time, causing three booming sounds to ring out. The three of them each stretched out a hand towards Zhao Fu, and their bodies gave off golden light. The different types of time powers they gave off fused together, causing their bodies to give off different types of golden light. A massive wave of power spread out from their bodies. This was a world formed from past, present, and future time power. This time power was more than 10 times stronger than before. Boom! The three-time goddesses vigorously pushed out with their hands, and a massive golden ray of light containing terrifying power shot towards Zhao Fu, giving off an unstoppable aura. This was a time attack, and it would change according to time, making it impossible to dodge. Bang! As the powerful beam of light shot over, Zhao Fu blocked it with his sword, resulting in a massive explosion. Zhao Fu's body was forced back a few steps. Zhao Fu's eyes gave off a blood-red light and he gave a cold smile. He looked like a peerlessly ferocious beast as he rushed forwards incredibly quickly, leaving behind afterimages. The three-time goddesses were given a big fright and once again pushed out with their hands. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as an even larger golden beam of light containing terrifying power and a shocking aura shot towards Zhao Fu like a bolt of lightning. He was unable to defend at all. Zhao Fu did not slow down at all as he sent a powerful wave of power into the Emperor Killing Sword. A terrifying wave of power spread out from the Emperor Killing Sword, and the Emperor Killing Sword gave off traces of sword chi. Boom! As the massive golden beam of light shot over, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with his sword. A sword energy that seemed to be able to destroy all things slashed apart the golden beam of light, causing it to turn into countless motes of golden light and dissipate. At that moment, Zhao Fu's body arrived in front of the three-time goddesses and he prepared to slash out. The three-time goddesses' expressions were quite serious, but they did not show a trace of fear. An even greater power exploded out from their bodies, and their eyes became golden like clock. The golden light from their bodies became even more intense, and the surrounding time seemed to be frozen. Boom! The three-time goddesses vigorously grabbed out with their hands, and a massive wave of time power flowed out. The heavens and earth dimmed as time and space became chaotic and yin and yang collapsed. Zhao Fu felt a massive power lock down on his body. This power came from this world's time power. Illusory time discs appeared around Zhao Fu's body and surrounded Zhao Fu's body. As more and more time discs appeared, they became larger and larger, and they continuously spun around Zhao Fu. The world's time power became stronger and stronger, as if it wanted to seal Zhao Fu within endless time. Seeing that Zhao Fu had been locked in place by the world's time, the three time goddesses inwardly let out sighs of relief. This was their most powerful attack, and if they could not stop Zhao Fu, they would not be able to stop Zhao Fu. They could only admit defeat and submit to Zhao Fu. Fortunately, they had succeeded this time. This time, they had used this world's time power to seal Zhao Fu, and ordinary geniuses would not be able to stop it. Shi Wu looked at the imprisoned Zhao Fu and wanted to say something. However, at that moment, she saw Zhao Fu's lips curl up into a cold and cruel smile, and she felt as if she had fallen into an icy cavern. An extremely terrifying killing intent and sword intent flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, and it was as if the gates of hell were slowly opening. The sun and moon dimmed, and the heavens and earth started to tremble. Shing, 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 boundless black and blood-red sword qi containing terrifying power flowed out from Zhao Fu's body, continuously shooting out. Each strand contained berserk killing intent and destructive sword intent as it madly slashed towards everything in the surroundings. The ground, space, rocks, grass, and trees were all slashed apart by the strands of sword qi. Countless strands of black and red sword qi flowed out, seeming to be able to destroy the heavens and earth. The countless time discs were instantly slashed apart, turning into countless images and dissipating. Following this, countless strands of black and blood-red sword qi spread out, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Even though the many experts on the viewing platforms had only seen the scene and were not present, they could sense how terrifying this power was. It was simply world-destroying, and they felt quite shocked. It seemed that they had once again underestimated Zhao Fu. He actually had such terrifying power, and the three-time goddesses were definitely going to lose. Even if they did not die from this attack, they would be heavily injured. Chapter 2098. The ground continued to tremble as a terrifying aura spread out like a tidal wave, causing the entire world to feel as if it had turned cold. Smoke and dust filled the air, covering countless places. After everything settled down, there was a 1,000-meter-wide, 100-meter-deep crater in the ground. There were many sword gashes in the crater, looking quite terrifying. There were still traces of sword qi left. The three-time goddesses were lying on the ground, unconscious, covered in blood. The three of them were very useful to Zhao Fu, so Zhao Fu naturally couldn't kill them. He just heavily injured them. The fat cat meowed worriedly, looking quite pitiful. Now it felt quite guilty. It was because it had stolen the wine that this had happened. However, what it didn't know was that Zhao Fu had set up a trap for it. This had nothing to do with whether it had stolen the wine or not. Zhao Fu went up to check on the three-time goddesses' injuries. He first sealed their powers, fed them some healing medicines, and leaned their bodies against a large rock. Their injuries were too severe, and they needed some time to recover before they could wake up. As such, Zhao Fu could only put them aside and wait for them to recover before subduing them. Zhao Fu's gaze turned to the Time Chief God statue. He didn't know how much time legacy power the three goddesses had obtained, but the statue hadn't disappeared. This meant that there was still some legacy power left. Zhao Fu didn't plan on giving up. It was a good thing that he had time power as well. Moreover, the time attribute was a very special and powerful power. 10,000 godly power also needed Time Chief God power to fuse. As such, Zhao Fu didn't exit the killing celestial mode. This was because Zhao Fu's current state was a combination of celestial mode and killing sword intent. As such, Zhao Fu named it the killing celestial mode. Even though the killing sword intent was powerful, Zhao Fu had not developed it yet, so it was not as powerful as the reincarnation celestial Dao mode. The reincarnation celestial Dao mode was Zhao Fu's strongest state, and the killing celestial Dao mode could not compare to it. However, the killing sword intent still had a lot of room for growth. If it matured, it might even be more powerful than the reincarnation immortal Dao because it was a fusion of pure killing intent and pure sword intent. Within the Heaven Awakened world, this was an extremely terrifying power, and it was one of the most powerful attacks. It could kill gods and celestials, cut apart yin and yang, and could even be destroyed by the heavens and earth. Of course, this required Zhao Fu to develop the killing sword intense power. Now that the Emperor Killing Sword world had grown to a new level, it needed many sword cultivators. Zhao Fu's killing sword power came from the Emperor Killing Sword world, and as the Emperor Killing Sword world became more powerful, Zhao Fu's killing sword power would naturally become more powerful as well. Sword cultivators were essential to the Emperor Killing Sword world's power, and the Emperor Killing Sword world relied on them to grow. In actuality, Zhao Fu's killing celestial mode was quite terrifying, and it could easily break through the world's time restrictions. However, the key thing was that Zhao Fu had not used his full power yet. Zhao Fu's body gave off traces of terrifying black and blood-red sword qi as he flew in front of the time statue. He stepped into the time statue domain. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the time statue, which had lost its powerful aura, once again exploded out with a terrifying aura. Its body gave off an intense golden light as a massive wave of time power spread out. Massive golden vortexes appeared in the surroundings, all of them giving off intense time ripples and giving off terrifying auras. The countless time vortexes messed up time, causing the entire region to become chaotic and giving off a terrifying and dangerous aura. Zhao Fu did not have time power, so it was quite difficult for him to obtain the Time God's legacy power. Because the three Time Goddesses had time power, they were able to obtain the Time God's legacy power relatively easily. However, Zhao Fu, who was in the killing celestial mode, did not have to worry at all. Facing this region of chaotic time, Zhao Fu slowly raised the Emperor Killing Sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it. Shing! A massive sword hum sounded out as a terrifying sword qi exploded out from the Emperor Killing Sword, forming a terrifying sword qi storm that spread out as a terrifying sword energy spread out from the sword. Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword with one hand and vigorously slashed forwards. Boom! A massive black and blood-red sword light containing destructive sword energy slashed forwards, seeming as if nothing could stop it. In just an instant, it seemed to split the chaotic time in half. The golden vortexes around the stone statue seemed to have been hit by a massive force, and they all collapsed, and the ripples of time also disappeared. Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and flew forwards at a moderate speed. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as the stone statue gave off a massive might that weighed down on Zhao Fu's body, and a golden magic formation appeared on the ground. However, in the killing celestial mode, even though Zhao Fu felt his body sink, he was able to withstand this might. On the other hand, Zhao Fu flew to the ground and walked towards the stone statue. When he came in front of it, the might on his body disappeared. The stone statue looked down at Zhao Fu. Its expression did not change, but it did not give Zhao Fu its legacy power. Zhao Fu could not help but feel nervous. Even though he had passed these tests, it was up to the stone statue to decide whether or not it would give the legacy power. If it did not give it to Zhao Fu, he would not be able to take it by force. Zhao Fu thought about it and wondered if the killing celestial mode was too powerful and affected the stone statue. Zhao Fu immediately exited the killing celestial mode, and the terrifying sword qi around his body disappeared. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the stone statue's forehead gave off an intense golden light and a massive wave of time energy spread out. Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that it was because of the killing celestial mode. Boom! At that moment, another explosion sounded out as a golden ray of light shot out from the stone statue's forehead, giving off a massive aura as it landed on Zhao Fu's body. The ancient time god's legacy power entered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and absorbed this massive wave of ancient time god's legacy power. This time power was indeed different from ordinary powers, and as it flowed in, Zhao Fu could clearly sense the existence of time. It was as if he could touch and even control time, which made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised. Time passed bit by bit, and Zhao Fu continuously absorbed the time god's legacy power. At that moment, the light and aura that the stone statue gave off gradually weakened. This was because the stone statue still had a bit of legacy power left, and after giving it to Zhao Fu, it disappeared. In the end, the stone statue's aura disappeared, and the golden ray of light from its forehead disappeared as well. The stone statue gradually became blurry before disappearing as well. Please remember this book's domain name. Mobile version. Chapter 2099. Boom. A massive explosion once again sounded out as the golden bell gave off an intense golden light and gave off a massive aura as it turned into a golden ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the golden orb of light exploded, causing a golden wave of light to spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura spread out and a ripple of time also spread out. In the sky, there was a massive magic formation with 24 circles, and one of them gave off a golden light as if the circle had been filled with gold. Now, there were 5 circles in the sky that had been filled up, giving off different lights. This meant that the 5 core gods' legacies had given out all of their legacy power. This explosion caused everyone in the secret realm to look up at the sky, and their expressions became serious as they felt a wave of pressure. Another core god had given out all of his legacies, and there were only 19 core gods' legacies left. This was a bit too fast, and if all 24 legacies were given out, the secret realm would end prematurely. Now that they did not even have a 9-colored god seal, no matter how powerful they would not be able to become the master of the gods. After all, in order to become the master of the gods, one had to have a 9-colored god seal. If the secret realm trial ended too quickly, it would not be good for anyone, and it was possible that there would not be a master of the gods this time around. Some people sensed the ripples of time and understood that it was a time core god's legacy, causing them to look confused. The time core god's legacy power was the hardest to obtain out of the 24 core gods. This was because not only would it not appear by itself, but it would also stay in a secret place. Most importantly, only the time god could find and open the legacy land. As such, most people had no relationship with the time core god, as they could not even enter the legacy land, let alone obtain the time core god's legacy power. Under normal circumstances, no one would be able to find the time core god's legacy land. After all, time gods were incredibly rare, and the chances of them finding the time core god's legacy land were even lower. Now, the time core god's legacy land had been given out so quickly. This was incredibly rare. This was why everyone looked confused. There had been too many changes in the competition, and they wondered who had obtained the time core god's legacy power. He hoped that this matter had nothing to do with that person. Otherwise, who would be able to accept the fact that that person had obtained the inheritance power of 5 main gods? Within the time legacy land, Zhao Fu stood where he was, wholeheartedly refining the power of time. His body seemed to be permeated by the power of time, and his surroundings were filled with the power of time. Now, Zhao Fu felt like he could easily control time. This feeling was very powerful, many times more powerful than ordinary divine power. The divine spark absorbed the sovereign power of time, causing the power of the myriad deities to become even more terrifying. At the same time, it also caused the power of the myriad deities to become unstable. Zhao Fu immediately sat down on the ground, and orbs of light giving off different colored lights flew out. There were 3,000 or so of them, and they floated in the air, giving off different colored divine power and massive divine power auras. Under Zhao Fu's control, the balls of light continuously fused with Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu continued to refine the divine power. Zhao Fu's 10,000 deities' power was already quite unstable, so he had wanted to find a place to refine the divine power. However, he had never thought that he would encounter the Time Legacy Land, delaying the process. 3 hours later, Zhao Fu finally finished refining the divine power, causing Zhao Fu's 10,000 deities' power to stabilize and become even more terrifying. Sensing how powerful this power was, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile, opened his eyes, and stood up. By now, the 3-time goddesses had woken up, but because their bodies' powers had been sealed by Zhao Fu, they could not move at all. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and walked in front of them. The 3-time goddesses' expressions were quite unsightly, and there was a trace of fear in their eyes. They could clearly remember how terrifying the countless strands of sword chi were, and they felt that even dying 100 times would not be enough. As such, they were quite afraid of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Right now, the 3 of you have no other choice but to submit to me. If you're not willing, I'll use other methods to force you to submit." Shi Ning did not say anything and instead thought to herself. Shi Ning coldly looked at Zhao Fu. With her personality, she would not submit to someone else and be controlled by someone else. Shi thought about how this had all happened because her pet had stolen Zhao Fu's wine. As such, she had to take responsibility, so she looked at Zhao Fu with teary eyes. "It was Lil Wine who stole your wine. It's my pet. I'm willing to submit to you and listen to you in the future, but you have to let off my 2 big sisters. They had nothing to do with this." Zhao Fu looked at Shi and directly refused. One-time God was not as good as a few-time gods, and Zhao Fu could sense that the 3 of them had special time power. After fusing, their time power would become abnormally powerful, so he could not afford to lose any of them. "Then what do you want me to do in order to let my 2 big sisters go?" "I'll agree to anything you want, please," Shi said to Zhao Fu as if she was about to cry. Shi Ning looked at Zhao Fu and said angrily, "Don't beg him, and don't agree. In the end, you'll just die." Zhao Fu did not mind their words and looked at Shi's expression. She was the big sister of 2 people, and the other 2 people viewed her as their master. If she was willing to submit to him, the other 2 people would definitely submit to him as well. Zhao Fu walked up and squatted down. He lifted Shi's chin and looked at her beautiful face as he gave a trace of an evil smile and asked, "Have you thought about it? Are you willing to submit to me? If you don't agree, I'll have to use special methods." Looking at Zhao Fu's evil look, Shi Ning immediately cried out angrily, "If you dare to do anything to my big sisters, I definitely won't let you off. My family won't let you off either." Shi sobbed as she said, "I'm begging you, I'm willing to do anything. Don't do anything bad to my 2 big sisters." Zhao Fu continued to ignore their words and looked at Shi, waiting for her answer. If she did not agree, Zhao Fu would immediately send the 6 desires demonic qi into her body. To Zhao Fu, dealing with women was a very simple matter. Shi looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes and said, "Tell us who you are and where you came from. Tell us who you are and where you came from." Zhao Fu looked quite startled. He had never thought that she would suddenly ask about his identity. Zhao Fu thought about it and smiled as he said, "Who do you think I am? And where did I come from?" Shi said calmly, "I don't know who you are, but you definitely aren't simple. Since you want us to submit to you, you should tell us who you are. Otherwise, we won't even know who we submit to." Chapter 2100. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "All right, I'll tell you who I am. In actuality, you've all heard of me before." Hearing this, the 3 of them looked quite confused. They did not know who Zhao Fu was and had never heard of Zhao Fu before, nor had they heard of such a terrifying killing intent and sword intent. However, seeing how confident Zhao Fu was, it seemed that he was a very famous person in the godly world. However, after thinking about all of the geniuses in the godly world, none of them looked like Zhao Fu. Shi Kuei said, "We can't guess your identity, so just tell us." At that moment, Shirya thought of that bottle of divine blood wine. That was brewed from fresh divine blood, and since it was Zhao Fu's, it was very likely that Zhao Fu had a divine bloodline, which only holy sons had. Ordinary holy sons only existed in legends, but recently, there had been a person with a divine bloodline who had become very famous. Almost everyone knew about him, and he had caused a great commotion in the heaven-awakened world. That person was the legendary second King of Kings. Many people in the godly world had heard of him but had never personally seen him. However, they knew that he was an extremely terrifying person, and Zhao Fu fit that description. Moreover, this person did not have time power, but he had been able to pass the trial and obtain the Time God's legacy power. He had even successfully refined time power, which meant that he was not ordinary at all. Shirya did not dare to be certain and asked carefully, Are you the second King of Kings?" Hearing this, Shi Kuei and Shi Ning felt quite startled. The second King of Kings was an extremely terrifying existence. Was this the person in front of them? They were not sure, and they looked at him, waiting for Zhao Fu's answer. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'm the second King of Kings. I'm the second King of Kings. Now that you know who I am, you should submit to me." Shi Kuei and the others' expressions fell as massive waves crashed in their hearts. They had never thought that the person in front of them would be that person, the incredibly terrifying second King of Kings. Shirya said in delight, "Are you really the King of Kings? If I'm willing to submit to you under the hands of a heavenly prodigy like you, then can you let my two sisters go?" Zhao Fu rolled his eyes at her. Before Zhao Fu revealed his identity, she had already said that she would submit to him and even asked him to let her two sisters go. There was no difference between now and before. Zhao Fu continued to look at Shi Kuei, waiting for her reply. After thinking for a while, Shi Kuei looked at Zhao Fu and nodded. "We are willing to submit to you." Zhao Fu lightly laughed, retracted his hand and looked at Shi Ning. Now that Shirya and Shi Kuei were willing to submit to him, she was the only one left. Seeing Zhao Fu look at her, Shi Ning felt quite hesitant. Now that her big sister and little sister were willing to submit to Zhao Fu, she naturally had to submit as well. She could not resist right now. However, with her personality, she could not accept submitting to someone else, making her feel quite troubled. Zhao Fu looked at her and did not say anything. He leaned over and kissed Shi Ning, and the 6 desires demonic qi continuously flowed into her body. Shi Ning started to struggle before intensely responding to Zhao Fu. Seeing this passionate scene, Shirya's face became bright red, feeling quite embarrassed. However, she could not help but want to see her big sister and Zhao Fu kiss. Shi Kuei frowned and wanted to say something. However, Zhao Fu stopped and looked at the red-faced and panting Shi Ning as he lightly laughed and said, "Are you willing to submit to me now?" Shi Ning felt quite shy as she softly replied, Zhao Fu grinned. After coming to the godly world for so long, he had finally completed the quest to find the Time God. If he could bring them back, Qin would be able to mass-produce Philosopher's Stones, and Qin's overall strength would greatly increase. Moreover, the 3 time gods were not ordinary time gods, which meant that the refined Philosopher's Stones would be even more powerful than expected. The Philosopher's Stone combined with the Blood God Pill could forcefully raise a person's cultivation to Stage 1. When that time came, everyone in Qin's army would become Stage 1 cultivators. When that time came, even if Qin resisted the Flame God faction, the Second Wind God faction, and the Devil Horn faction, it would not be a problem at all. Moreover, this would reduce the gap between them and the cultivator soldiers and would not have to fear them. Qin would be able to expand in the cultivator world and would not be suppressed and bullied. After all, the cultivator soldiers' greatest advantage was that they had cultivator's power. If Qin also had cultivator's power, their advantage would be gone. Moreover, Qin's soldiers also had darkness power, Qin's power, and some core stats. This meant that not only would Qin's soldiers not be at a disadvantage against the cultivator soldiers, but they would also have many advantages, allowing them to suppress the cultivator world. Thinking about this, Zhao Fu felt quite excited. Before, Qin had been suppressed by the cultivator world, and now, he finally had a chance to take revenge. With the Philosopher's Stone, Zhao Fu had another big advantage, which was that after Qin's soldiers died, they could revive using the Philosopher's Stone. Just like the cultivator soldiers, they could greatly reduce the loss of battle power. This was incredibly beneficial to Qin, and Zhao Fu felt quite happy. Now that such an important matter had been resolved, Zhao Fu felt much more at ease. Now, all that was left was to devour a large amount of divine power, become the ruler of gods, and awaken the god race's Emperor Star. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Shurya. Seeing her frown, he hugged her and kissed her on the lips, continuously sending 6 desires demonic qi into her body. Shurya did not struggle at all and passionately responded to Zhao Fu, as if she was kissing a lover that she had known for a long time. Shurya's face became red as she watched Zhao Fu kiss her big sister. Thinking about what would happen after Zhao Fu kissed Zhao Fu, she could not help but feel quite expectant. Zhao Fu stopped and did as Shurya wished. He brought her into his embrace and kissed her on the lips, continuously sending 6 desires demonic qi into her body. Shurya shyly responded to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was using restrictions to control the 3 of them and did not have any improper thoughts. Zhao Fu was now a very righteous gentleman, and he would not do such erotic things unless it was necessary. Zhao Fu temporarily did not remember how he had used his hands to send in 6 desires demonic qi. Following this, Zhao Fu released the restrictions on them and stood up. Looking at the 3-time goddesses whose faces were red and breathing heavily, he smiled and said, "Let's leave this place together." At the same time, Zhao Fu released the restrictions on the fat cat, and the fat cat immediately ran over and leapt into Shurya's embrace, meowing, asking what had happened to Shurya. Chapter 2101. Shurya's face became red as she hugged the fat cat and did not say anything. Ning's expression did not change. A trace of a smile appeared on Shuryi's face as she looked at Zhao Fu and said with a trace of gentleness, "What are we going to do after we leave this place?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Wait for me at a place because I'm going to go around plundering god power and obtaining the god legacy's power. It's not convenient for me to bring you all." Shuri could not help but lightly laugh. "So that god stealer was you? Did you come to the god world to awaken the god race's Emperor Star?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "That's one of my goals." Seeing Zhao Fu speak so casually, Ning felt quite shocked. That was the god race's supreme Emperor Star, and countless geniuses were unable to awaken it. Even they could not do so, yet Zhao Fu was able to do so casually. Ning did not doubt Zhao Fu, as Zhao Fu was the 2nd-generation King of Kings and had 6 Emperor Stars. Ning asked Zhao Fu, "Why do you want to subdue us? Do you need us to do anything?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, I'll tell you about this later. There's still some time, so let's see if there are any treasures in this legacy land." Ning nodded. Following this, Zhao Fu and the others searched for treasures before they were teleported out of the legacy land and returned to the secret realm. Zhao Fu brought them to where Jiu Yun was and had them wait there. Of course, they could also go around. There were countless treasures in this secret realm, so they could just wait for Zhao Fu. Nothing much happened when Jiu Yun and the others met. Jiu Yun treated them warmly, and the three of them were also very nice. The fat cat also liked Zhou Yun a lot because he was a god of wine, and it felt like it had found a friend. Following this, Zhao Fu left and continued to search for the god legacy land, as well as plundering the god power of many godly spirits. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off a massive aura and landed at a place where godly spirits were gathered. Seeing Zhao Fu descend with such a terrifying aura, a trace of fear appeared on the godly spirits' faces. Because Zhao Fu was quite famous, some people quickly recognized Zhao Fu. There was no need for Zhao Fu to say anything else. The others immediately expressed their willingness to hand over their divine powers and asked Zhao Fu not to hurt them. Zhao Fu only wanted divine power, so there was no need to kill them. If he did this, it would not be so easy to obtain divine power next time. After a while, the divine power of the many gods was gathered, and one by one, the divine power balls flew towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand and collected all the divine power balls, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared. After Zhao Fu left, the gods immediately started discussing. Why did that soul snatcher dare to steal our divine power so brazenly as if nothing had happened? Doesn't he know that Lei Tianba, one of the 10 peerless geniuses, is looking for him to settle the score? Perhaps he is. If he knew that one of the 10 peerless geniuses was looking for him for revenge, he would still be so calm. Ordinary people would have long since gone into hiding in fear and would not dare to show their faces. After all, the person they offended was not someone they could afford to offend. That's hard to say. This soul snatcher's strength is also quite terrifying. Perhaps he knows about this and just doesn't care. Don't you think the saints are a bit too arrogant? One of the 10 peerless geniuses, one of the most powerful people in the godly world, and he dares to not care? Just how monstrous is his strength? I don't quite believe it. I also believe that the soul snatcher cannot be that powerful, and Lei Tianba is not that weak either. Everyone has personally seen how terrifying his strength is, and no one dares to not place him in their eyes. I heard that Lei Tianba has given out a massive reward for finding this person's whereabouts. How about we report this to Lei Tianba and not waste such a large reward? I agree. It would be best to see them fight and see who is stronger and who is weaker. I support Lei Tianba. Just what is that soul snatcher? We've never seen one before. After Lei Tianba found out where Zhao Fu was, he furiously ran over. He wanted to see just who it was that had injured his little brother so heavily. This time, even if he did not kill him, he would heavily injure him. Otherwise, it would be difficult for him to let go of his anger. However, when the news reached him and he rushed over, he did not know how much time had passed. Zhao Fu naturally could not stay here forever, and he had long since disappeared. After rushing over with great difficulty, Lei Tianba was unable to find Zhao Fu, making him even more furious. He wanted to kill Zhao Fu right now. Zhao Fu had not come into contact with anyone else, nor had he asked around for any information, so he naturally did not know that Lei Tianba had come to settle the score with him. At that moment, Zhao Fu sensed that there were many godly spirits gathered in front of him. He immediately grinned and gave off a powerful aura as he quickly flew over. After arriving there, Zhao Fu discovered that 200 to 300 godly spirits were fishing in an extremely large river. Zhao Fu found that they were using their divine power to fish out a type of gold ore. This type of gold ore was very big, and each one was 1 meter wide. Some were even 2 or 3 meters wide and were completely golden. There were many holes on its surface, and it gave off a godly spirit aura. This was divine gold, a top-notch material for creating divine armaments. Even though divine gold was not very rare, there were so many of them and they were so big. No wonder so many godly spirits were fishing here. Zhao Fu was naturally not interested in these things, and he gave off a terrifying aura as he said in a dignified and powerful voice, "Hand over your divine power." The terrifying aura that suddenly exploded out caused the godly spirits, who were focused on fishing, to be given a big fright. After seeing Zhao Fu's figure, they did not have any objections, and all of them handed over their divine power. They had heard of how terrifying Zhao Fu was and did not want to lose their lives for a bit of divine power, so they were quite obedient. It could be seen that having a big reputation had its benefit. After putting away their divine power, Zhao Fu immediately turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. At the same time, there were people who reported that Zhao Fu had come here to Lei Tianba. After hearing about this, Lei Tianba immediately hurried over, but in the end, he still could not find Zhao Fu. After running all the way here and not seeing Zhao Fu, Lei Tianba felt even more furious, and he felt like chopping Zhao Fu into pieces. In the end, Lei Tianba increased the rewards and told anyone who had any news of Zhao Fu to immediately report it. Those who did not report it could not blame him for being impolite. After hearing about this, everyone understood that Lei Tianba was incredibly furious. If he and Zhao Fu met, it would definitely be a life and death battle. This was the fury of one of the 10 peerless geniuses, and just thinking about it made everyone feel afraid. No one would be able to withstand it, and facing them, there was only fear. That person had sought death by heavily injuring someone else's little brother. He was definitely going to suffer. Chapter 2102. God Kerr paid attention to any information regarding that person, but it did not take the initiative to look for him. Instead, it quickly increased its strength. Only with great power would it be able to protect itself. Whether or not that person was the same person from back then, it would definitely meet him in the later stages of the competition and find out who he was. Thinking about that person's identity, God Kerr felt a great deal of pressure. As such, it was doing its best to increase its strength rather than actively looking for him. With God Kerr's current status and strength, even those with the God Race's Emperor star would not be able to give it such pressure, yet that person had done it so easily. At that moment, Zhao Fu sensed the entrance to another god's legacy land. The ripples that this entrance gave off were very powerful, and it was very easy to find it. This was the Thunder God's legacy land. Lei Tianba never would have thought that the person he had been searching for would be where he had first left. Zhao Fu hurried to the entrance to the Thunder God's legacy land. There was a massive blue ball of lightning that was formed from violet lightning. It was hundreds of meters wide and continuously gave off bolts of lightning that struck the ground, causing massive explosions and terrifying lightning power to spread out. This was why it was so easy to sense. The ripples from the lightning were simply too powerful, making it difficult to not sense it. There were many godly spirits gathered here, and if anyone tried to enter the domain of the ball of lightning, they would be met with powerful lightning attacks. Lightning was one of the most common elements, so there were many thunder gods. Zhao Fu's 10,000 god power had fused with thunder god power. Zhao Fu immediately turned his 10,000 god power into lightning, and black arcs of lightning appeared around Zhao Fu's body as a powerful lightning power spread out. This caused people to feel a wave of terror. Using the black lightning power, Zhao Fu formed a black lightning barrier and charged towards the ball of lightning. Boom! 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 A few massive bolts of violet lightning containing terrifying power blasted towards Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast, and in that instant Zhao Fu's entire body trembled. However, Zhao Fu was already quite powerful, and adding on the fact that he had the lightning attribute, it was quite easy for him to block the lightning. He flew into the ball of lightning and entered the Thunder God's legacy land. After entering the Thunder God's legacy land, Zhao Fu immediately saw the tall and coarse Thunder God statue. There were many people here, around 20 or so people. It was Zhao Fu's first time seeing so many people. Before, he had only seen 2 or 3 people, so he was quite surprised. At that moment, the lightning stone statue gave off an intense violet light and a massive amount of lightning power. lightning snakes formed from violet lightning appeared in the surrounding space, swimming around the stone statue and giving off a shocking aura. Those who were in the trial were battered by the lightning snake. Some people could not take it and were injured, so they temporarily retreated from the stone, while others were to it. However, some powerful people had already come to the violet lightning formation to take on the second trial, which was a test of talent, strength, and willpower. A decent-looking man dressed in azure-colored robes resisted the powerful sovereign's might and came before the sovereign statue. The sovereign statue lowered its head and looked at the man. Suddenly, the statue's forehead shone with violet light, and a powerful wave of lightning power spread out, causing many tiny arcs of violet lightning to appear in the surroundings. Boom! A violet ray of light containing a few arcs of lightning and a terrifying aura quickly shot towards the azure-clothed man's body, and a massive wave of sovereign's power entered the young man's body. The young man looked rather excited because he had received the acknowledgement of the sovereign statue. To ordinary people, this was an extremely great honor. At the same time, he felt that he would receive the lightning god's legacy power, making him even more powerful. Sensing the massive amount of lightning entering him, the young man closed his eyes and began to absorb it. After a while, the violet light from the statue's forehead slowly dimmed before disappearing, giving the young man a legacy power. However, this legacy power caused the aura that the young man gave off to become 10 times more powerful than before. This caused others to feel admiration and admiration. Obtaining the legacy land of the lightning god was an incredibly difficult thing, and it might even be impossible for them to do so. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as a person was unable to block the lightning snake's attack. His body was sent flying, and he coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Zhao Fu didn't waste any more time. The more legacy power he obtained, the more powerful he would become. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu exploded out with all of his 10,000 god lightning power. Countless bolts of black lightning exploded out from his body, stretching out in the air, twisting, merging, and splitting. They filled the surroundings, looking extremely terrifying. Bringing with him the countless bolts of lightning, Zhao Fu charged towards the statue. Boom! 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 The moment Zhao Fu stepped into the statue's domain, the purple lightning snakes surrounding the statue gave off a terrifying aura and charged towards Zhao Fu. They were extremely fast, and with a flash of lightning, a few lightning snakes were about to reach Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu controlled the countless bolts of black lightning around him to form a few bolts of black lightning. They brought with them a terrifying power and were extremely fast as they struck towards the few purple lightning snakes in front of him. Bang! 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 The few massive purple lightning snakes were pierced through by the bolts of black lightning, and their bodies exploded, turning into countless tiny arcs of lightning before disappearing. This sudden development caused the people who were undergoing the trial to be shocked, and they hurriedly turned to look at Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu's speed was extremely fast, and he had already reached the vicinity of the statue. A powerful might slammed onto Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu's body was forced back to the ground. He resisted the immense might and continued to walk forward. When the crowd saw this, they were stunned. Who was this person? How could he pass the trial so quickly? This was way too easy. By now, Zhao Fu had already arrived in front of the statue. At that moment, the green-robed man had also finished absorbing the legacy power of the lightning master god. He turned to look at Zhao Fu, who had appeared on the other side, and revealed a surprised expression. He had not expected another person to pass the legacy trial so quickly. The statue lowered its head and looked at Zhao Fu, and its gaze seemed to penetrate through Zhao Fu's body. A purple light shone out from its forehead once again, and a massive power of lightning spread out. Boom! A purple beam of light with a massive aura shot towards Zhao Fu's body, and the formidable power of the primordial lightning master god was infused into Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and absorbed the power of lightning with all his might. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu in shock. This was the first time they had seen someone pass the trial so quickly, and even receive the recognition and legacy power of the stone statue. Chapter 2103. Boom. At that moment, another explosion sounded out as a violet ray of light shot out from the stone statue's forehead, and even more lightning power entered Zhao Fu's body. Everyone felt quite startled. This was the second legacy power, and it had been given to that person as well. The azure-clothed young man looked quite confused. He had only received one legacy power, so how could this person receive two? Boom! Boom! Another two explosions sounded out as the stone statue shot out two more violet rays of light, each more powerful than the last. They landed on Zhao Fu's body, and even more violet lightning power entered Zhao Fu's body. He obtained 4 Thunder God legacy power. Everyone felt quite shocked. This was the first time they had seen someone obtain 4 legacy power. This person's identity was definitely incredibly terrifying. No wonder he had been able to pass the trial so easily. He was not someone they could compare to. Zhao Fu closed his eyes and absorbed the ancient Thunder God legacy power, fusing it into his 10,000 God power, causing the 10,000 God power to quickly become stronger. The stone statue had given Lei Tianba 5 legacy power, the azure-clothed young man 1 legacy power, and Zhao Fu 4 legacy power. Now, the aura it gave off dissipated, and its body became hazy. In the end, the stone statue disappeared. Boom! A massive explosion suddenly sounded out as the massive violet orb of lightning within the secret realm gave off an intense violet light and countless arcs of violet lightning. It gave off a massive aura as it turned into a violet ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the violet orb of lightning exploded, causing a violet shockwave to spread out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura swept out in all directions as countless arcs of violet lightning shot out. In the sky there were 24 magic formations, and one of them gave off violet light as if it was filled with violet light. Now there were 6 circles in the sky, giving off different light. This meant that there were 6 God Lords who had given all of their legacies. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the 6 circles of the magic formation in the sky gave off 6 powerful lights, causing the magic formation to spin and give off an incomparably great power that enveloped the entire secret plane. At that moment, everyone in the secret realm sensed this power and stopped what they were doing as they looked at the magic formation in the sky. Everyone immediately received a system announcement that the first stage of the trial had begun. Those who had not raised their Pantheon imprint to blue grade in 3 days would be forcefully teleported out of the secret realm. God damn it! The first stage has begun so early, and that bastard has obtained another God Lord's legacy power. Is he going to let us live? That's right. The first stage is to force us to fight. Originally, we wanted to enter the mystic realm to search for treasures and not fight. But now, if we don't fight and defeat others, it's impossible for the Pantheon mark to rise to the blue level. I knew that there would be a lot of variables in the Pantheon this time. It's no surprise that the first stage would start so early. Fortunately, I've already upgraded the Pantheon seal to the blue level, so I don't have to worry about this. Sigh. It feels so difficult. A white Pantheon imprint can only be raised to blue grade by defeating 10 people with the same white imprint. I reckon a large number of people will be eliminated in the first stage. I just want to know who that person is. He brought the first stage of the trial forward by so much. We're all in trouble. I want to teach that bastard a lesson. I'm so angry. In the Thunder God's Legacy Land, Zhao Fu also received the system announcement. His expression did not change. Now that his Pantheon imprint had been raised to gold grade, he did not need to care about the system announcement. After absorbing the powerful lightning god's power, Zhao Fu's 10,000 godly powers attack power had greatly increased. Lightning itself was an extremely powerful type of power, after all. After that, Zhao Fu searched around for treasures before leaving the Legacy Land. Everyone could only look at Zhao Fu in awe. They had seen Zhao Fu obtain 4 legacy power with their own eyes, and the system announcement for the start of the first stage had sounded. It was obvious that this person had started the first stage of the trial. The fact that he had obtained 4 legacy power was enough for them to look up to him and not dare to offend him. Zhao Fu left this place and continued to plunder divine power. He had just fused with another god power and needed the divine power of other gods to neutralize it. Suddenly, Zhao Fu, who had been flying in the air, discovered that there was a very large forest of flowers below him. The snow-white trees were covered with silver-white flowers that gave off a faint divine light, forming a silver-white sea of flowers. A faint fragrance wafted through the air, and with a light sniff, one would feel refreshed and relaxed. At that moment, a light breeze gently blew through the branches, and the silver-white flowers gave off a clear tinkling sound. The tinkling sounds were very pleasing to the ears, and the swaying flowers seemed to be playing a piece of music. Zhao Fu stopped and felt that this kind of flower was quite special. Zhao Fu had never seen this kind of flower before, and after thinking about it, he remembered that the flower fairy had mentioned this kind of flower before. A delighted smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face because this kind of flower looked quite similar to the soul bell tree flower. The soul bell tree flower was a flower that looked like a tree and would only grow where there were many godly spirits' corpses. The flowers that grew were silver-white and would give off a kind of soul sound when lightly trembling. This kind of soul sound was a sound that only souls could hear. In other words, the clear sound that the flower tree had just given off had not been heard by the ears but by the soul. The soul bell tree flower itself had very powerful godly spirit energy because it mainly absorbed the godly spirits of godly spirits' corpses. Each of the 8 wondrous flowers had their own kind of power. The World Wonder Flower contained world energy, the Dark Night Flower contained source-en energy, the Evil Spirit Abyss Flower contained demonic energy, and the Otherworld Gold Flower contained gold energy. The Soul Bell Tree Flower contained godly spirit energy. Apart from having different powers, the 8 wondrous flowers also had different abilities. For example, the Evil Spirit Abyss Flower's power was quite evil and could control people to do anything they wanted. Ordinary people would find it difficult to resist this kind of control. Once people were controlled by the evil spirit energy, they would not be able to break free at all. The Evil Spirit Abyss Flower's power was quite powerful. The Otherworld Gold Flower's power was also quite powerful and could turn everything into gold. This kind of gold energy was quite powerful and was quite difficult to resist, and it could also nurture soldiers made of gold. As for the World Wonder Flower, which was the World Flower, and the Dark Night Flower, because they had not bloomed yet, Zhao Fu did not know what abilities they had. The Flower Fairy had only recovered a trace of her memories and did not have any information about them. Chapter 2104. The reason why Zhao Fu knew about the Evil Spirit Abyss Flower and the Otherworld Golden Flower was because Zhao Fu had the Evil Spirit Abyss Flower's power and had subdued the Otherworld Golden Flower ancestor. The Otherworld Golden Flower ancestor was already in its final form and did not need to be nurtured. In other words, Zhao Fu wanted to nurture the World Wonder Flowers, Dark Night Flower, and Evil Spirit Abyss Flower in Qin City into flower ancestors just like the Otherworld Golden Flower ancestor. Zhao Fu did not know how long this would take because the World Wonder Flowers that he had planted for almost 10 years still had not bloomed. Zhao Fu did not know how long it would take to nurture them into flower ancestors. Zhao Fu did not know what powerful abilities the Soul Bell Flowers had, but it was most likely not simple. It was definitely a very powerful ability. However, Zhao Fu looked at the countless flowers and trees below and found that there were countless of them. Logically speaking, the world wonder flowers should be quite rare, so why were there so many of them here? Moreover, the world wonder flowers were incredibly precious treasures, and ordinary people would not let go of such treasures. As such, they should have taken these trees away, so why were there nothing wrong with them? Zhao Fu felt quite confused and wanted to go down to take a look. A woman's voice suddenly sounded out, "Don't go down, that's a forbidden region in the secret realm. Who knows how many godly spirits have died there?" Zhao Fu paused and looked to the side. A beautiful woman with a graceful figure and a cold aura appeared in front of him. Seeing this woman, Zhao Fu had some impression of her. She seemed to be Mia Lu's female attendant. Mia Lu was the destruction god and the owner of an emperor's star. She represented the godly domain in the competition. Why was she here? Could it be that Mia Lu had gone in? This time, it was Zhao Fu's mistake. Mia Lu was the owner of an emperor's star and the most terrifying person in the godly domain. The place she was going to was very dangerous, so she did not bring her maid with her. Instead, she left her to find her own opportunities. The maid's name was Lu Li. As the personal maid of Mia Lu, she was very talented. Although she couldn't be compared with Mia Lu, she could still be considered as a strong warrior. Mia Lu would never have thought that the opportunity she asked Liu Li to look for herself would lead to an existence that even she was afraid of. Zhao Fu looked at Liu Li. She did not seem to have any malicious intentions and was just reminding him out of kindness. Zhao Fu replied with a smile, "I see. Thank you." Then, Zhao Fu continued to fly downward. Liu Li looked quite surprised. After hearing Zhao Fu's words, she had thought that Zhao Fu knew how dangerous that place was and would not go there. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would directly fly there. Zhao Fu, who was continuously descending, immediately sensed that something was wrong with the Sea of Flowers. From afar, he had felt that the Sea of Flowers was very beautiful and did not seem dangerous at all. However, now that he was close, he realized how terrifying it was. This Sea of Flowers had an extremely terrifying power that could devour one's godly soul, and it was like a massive mouth. In front of this mouth, Zhao Fu felt as small as a grain of sand. His entire body felt icy cold, and he could not help but feel a trace of fear. Even with Zhao Fu's power, he had this feeling. This was enough to prove how terrifying the Sea of Flowers was. Ordinary godly spirits would definitely die if they stepped into this place without any chance of survival. No wonder it was listed as a forbidden area. However, it was not so easy for this Sea of Flowers to devour Zhao Fu's godly soul. Now, Zhao Fu's strength was already extremely terrifying. Moreover, Zhao Fu's soul had integrated the power of yin and yang, and became the yin and yang soul fire. He had a strong resistance to this kind of devouring power, and the impact was not very big. Zhao Fu still flew down from the sky and landed directly in the Sea of Flowers. Liu Li was stunned. How come Zhao Fu flew into the Sea of Flowers and nothing happened to him? Could it be that the power that could devour the godly soul was gone? This was a forbidden area in the secret land, and no one had ever stepped into it. There were treasures everywhere in the secret land, and there might be some rare treasures in the forbidden area. Thinking of this, Liu Li flew down. At first, Liu Li did not feel any danger, but the moment she approached the Sea of Flowers, the whole Sea of Flowers immediately turned into a huge mouth and swallowed her. Liu Li's body seemed to have fallen into ice water, and her body trembled instinctively. The power of Liu Li's godly soul weakened rapidly. She only felt a strong dizziness, and her body fell directly. Zhao Fu raised his head and looked at Liu Li, who had fallen down. He stretched out a hand, and a colorful force gushed out and shot toward Liu Li. It surrounded her and formed a colorful bubble with runes on it. Now, Zhao Fu used the power of immortal mode. Because Zhao Fu had opened the 5 senses of celestial beings, it also had a very strong spiritual defense. Immortal mode based on it also had a very strong spiritual defense. The colorful energy bubble fell in front of Zhao Fu with Lu Li's body, and Zhao Fu stretched out his hands to catch her body. At this time, Lu Li's face was a little pale because she had lost a lot of spiritual power. Because of the colorful bubble blocking the devouring power of the Sea of Flowers, Lu Li's spirit was no longer devoured. Lu Li looked at Zhao Fu, who was holding her, and a touch of red appeared on her face. Only now did she understand that the terrible power that could devour the godly soul did not disappear, but it had no effect on Zhao Fu. But who was this person in front of her? How could he be immune to such a terrible power that could devour the godly soul? Ordinary people would never be able to do this. Zhao Fu looked at her with a smile. It's very dangerous here. You can't resist it with your strength. You'd better leave here. Lu Li came down from Zhao Fu's arms and said with a smile, "Thank you for saving my life. I'll leave here immediately. Can you tell me your name? I'll repay you in the future." Now, Lu Li naturally understood that without Zhao Fu's help, she would have died here. She could not explore this place with her ability. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "No need." Lu Li did not continue to ask and said with a smile, "I'll remember your kindness. I won't bother you anymore, but you have to be careful." Zhao Fu responded with a smile. Following that, Zhao Fu began to explore the flower forest, and Lu Li also left the flower forest. However, she did not go too far and stayed nearby. Lu Li was a little worried about this dangerous place. She wanted to wait for Zhao Fu to come out and see if there was anything wrong with him before leaving. Moreover, she did not have any place to go. At the same time, she had a hunch that Zhao Fu entering this forbidden area might cause some changes. She did not know why she had this hunch. She did not know Zhao Fu at all, but she had this hunch. Her hunch had always been very accurate, and she was not sure if it was because she had been staying next to the owner of the Emperor's Star that she had been greatly affected. Chapter 2105. Lu Li was not wrong to think this way. The possessor of an imperial star had an incredibly large amount of fate and was someone who was acknowledged by the heavens. They had a large amount of fate, which was not only beneficial to themselves but also to the people around them. It could even change the fate of everyone around them. It could be said that as long as a person possessed an imperial star, that group of people would be affected by a large amount of fate and would receive countless benefits. This was one of the reasons why ordinary people wanted to follow experts. Zhao Fu walked a few steps in the flower forest and looked around. It was completely silent and there was no sound at all. There was not even the sound of insects, which was quite terrifying. No matter how beautiful the flower forest was, Zhao Fu was not in the mood to look at it. Zhao Fu came in front of a 10-meter-tall flower tree and wanted to see if this flower tree was a soul bell tree flower. If it was, Zhao Fu could just dig one out and solve the problem easily. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pressed it against the snow-white tree trunk. The tree trunk gave off a devouring power, wanting to devour Zhao Fu's godly soul. However, with its power, it was completely useless against Zhao Fu. Even if Zhao Fu stood there and let it devour, it would not be able to devour him. This was because Zhao Fu's defense was too terrifying, and it was not something that a small tree like this could deal with. After pressing his hand against the tree trunk, Zhao Fu felt that there was a godly soul within the tree trunk, causing the tree to seem to have a life of its own. Boom! A massive wave of power flowed out from Zhao Fu's palm and into the tree trunk, grabbing onto the godly soul within. The godly soul was grabbed by Zhao Fu, and it struggled and howled as if it had gone mad. It was incredibly ear-piercing. Zhao Fu pulled his hand out and pulled the godly soul out of the tree trunk, which was a silver-white ball of light. After the 10-meter-tall tree lost the godly soul, it immediately withered. Silver-white petals fell like rain, creating a beautiful scene. This was especially so when the petals withered, they gave off clear sounds as if they were wailing. The continuously falling petals and the wailing made the scene look quite poignant. After the countless flowers withered, the tree trunk lost its moisture and became dry and cracked. The snow-white color gradually became gray-white, and the aura that the tree gave off became much weaker. This was not a true soul bell tree flower, but a tree affected by the soul bell tree flower's power. A true soul bell tree flower would not be like this. The real soul bell tree flower possessed powerful divine soul power, so it would not be so weak. Furthermore, after death, it would still have a very strong divine power aura. Zhao Fu looked at the silver-white orb of light in his hand, which was the tree's soul. It continuously struggled in Zhao Fu's hand and gave off an ear-piercing cry. Zhao Fu used his power to restrict it and threw it into his spatial ring. Although this wasn't a true soul bell tree flower, the soul it nurtured was the purest kind of soul. Whether it was used to forge god artifacts or anything else, it was a very precious material. Moreover, no matter what it was made into, it would have the power to devour godly souls. This was a treasure that ordinary godly spirits could not obtain, and it was very useful to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the forest of flowers and smiled. Even if he could not find soul bell tree flowers, he would be able to extract the godly souls from the fake soul bell tree flowers. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a massive black aura flowed out from Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu controlled the black aura to form black tentacles that shot towards the fake soul bell tree flowers. The black tentacles were incredibly fast and shot into the depths of the divine tree. A powerful energy spread out, covering the divine soul within the divine tree and pulling it out. The flowers on the trees started to wither and countless petals fell like rain, covering the ground and making it seem like there was a carpet made of flowers. That faint floral fragrance also thickened and filled the air. After the godly souls of the trees were extracted, they struggled continuously and gave off ear-piercing cries. The tentacles wrapped around them gave off waves of energy and shackled the godly souls. Following this, the tentacles pulled back the godly souls. Zhao Fu put away the godly souls and continued to control the tentacles made of black aura to shoot towards the trees and extract their godly souls. The flower forest that no one dared to offend in the secret realm had met its nemesis this time. Luli waited outside and watched as the flowers in the flower forest withered and the tree trunks withered. She revealed a shocked expression. She had a feeling that something would happen to Zhao Fu after he entered the flower forest, but she had not expected it to happen so quickly. She did not know what Zhao Fu was doing inside for so many trees to wither. Now, these withered trees naturally did not have the power to devour godly souls, so it would be fine to walk over. Luli thought about it and could not help but walk over out of curiosity. She saw a large amount of black aura coming out of Zhao Fu's body, which formed tentacles that were as thick as 2 fingers and shot towards the surrounding trees. After the tentacles shot into the trees, they extracted a silver-white ball of light. The trees withered and the tentacles retracted, placing the ball of light beside Zhao Fu. Then, the tentacles shot out again and extracted the silver-white ball of light. Now that she felt the huge aura from Zhao Fu, Luli was shocked. Only now did she understand how powerful Zhao Fu was. Zhao Fu stopped and turned to look at Luli. He asked with a surprised smile, "Why haven't you left yet?" Luli said with a smile, "I have nowhere to go, so I stayed for a while. I did not expect you to not only not be afraid of the flower forest but also restrain it and extract their godly souls." Zhao Fu replied with a smile, "It's nothing." Luli looked at a tree and asked with a smile, "Are these really soul bell tree flowers? Can you give me one?" Luli couldn't resist the devouring force formed by a large flower forest, but she could easily resist the devouring force emitted by a few flower trees. Zhao Fu could not help but smile. These are not the real soul bell tree flowers, but the trees affected by the power of the soul bell tree. Moreover, these things do not belong to me. You can take them yourself if you want. They did not know how many trees there were, and they were not the real soul bell tree flowers. Of course, Zhao Fu would not care about a few trees. Luli responded with a smile. She was not too surprised. As one of the exotic flowers, the soulbell tree flowers could not have so many. However, Luli was very interested in the flowering trees. She came to the front of a 2-meter-high small flowering tree and looked at it carefully. Then she stretched out her hand and grabbed it. A powerful force spread out and pulled out the small flowering tree. Then she put it into her storage ring. Zhao Fu, on the other hand, continued to pluck out the divine souls of the flower trees. Chapter 2106. After Zhao Fu extracted the divine souls of the trees for a while, even though it was quite fast to extract the divine souls of hundreds of trees, Zhao Fu still felt that it was too slow. This was because the forest was incredibly big, and he did not know how long it would take for him to extract all of the divine souls. At that moment, Zhao Fu thought of an idea, so he stopped and raised a hand. A massive black aura continuously flowed out, forming a black orb in the air. Luli followed behind Zhao Fu and did not disturb Zhao Fu. Looking at the black orb that Zhao Fu had condensed, Luli felt quite curious about what Zhao Fu wanted to do. The black aura continuously flowed out, and the black orb became larger and larger. In the end, it was hundreds of meters wide and gave off a massive might. Zhao Fu stopped the power that flowed out and threw the black orb forward. The black orb brought with it massive power as it quickly shot forward. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the black orb exploded. Countless rays of black light containing immense power shot out in all directions, flashing through the air and disappearing into the flowers and trees. A terrifying power spread out within the trees, and the trunks of the trees gave off a black light. Silver-white orbs of light were forced out by the black power and floated in the air above the treetop. Silver-white orbs of light floated in the air, giving off a faint silver-white light. There were at least 5,000 to 6,000 of them. The trees that had lost their divine souls all started to wither, and petals fell from the trees like a rain of flowers. This scene was quite shocking. Zhao Fu waved his hand and a massive power swept out, collecting the divine souls into his storage ring. Following this, Zhao Fu continued to use this method to extract the divine souls, and the efficiency was more than 10 times faster than before. At the same time, Zhao Fu continued to walk towards the depths of the forest. Luli followed behind Zhao Fu. Because Zhao Fu had extracted many divine souls, the soul-devouring power had disappeared, so Luli did not have to worry about this. Zhao Fu did not refuse and allowed her to follow behind him so that she would not hinder him. At this moment, Zhao Fu arrived at the inner part of the flower forest. The trees here were tens of meters tall, and their trunks were 6 meters thick. The trunks were snow-white, and the treetops were very big. There were many small silver-white flowers blooming on them, and the fragrance they gave off was even richer. It looked very spectacular. Moreover, these flowering trees did not look young. They all looked like ancient trees that were 100 meters tall. The god spirit aura that they gave off was also very powerful. Zhao Fu looked at the many flowering trees and was about to continue extracting their divine souls. Suddenly, the flowering trees gave off powerful auras and countless rays of silver-white light shot out. The small flowers swayed in the wind and gave off clear sounds. Soldiers wearing silver armor and holding spears with cold expressions and giving off powerful godly spirit auras walked out from the trees and looked at Zhao Fu. These soldiers were all divine souls of the flowering trees. Not only could they leave the trees, but they also had powerful attack. Their bodies were not corporeal but illusory. Zhao Fu looked at the divine souls in front of him. These divine souls could not be compared to the ones outside. Not only were their grades quite high, but they were also quite powerful. They were more than 10 times more valuable than the divine souls outside. There were over 10,000 divine soul soldiers in front of Zhao Fu, and they stood densely in the flower forest, giving off a powerful conquering aura. Facing so many divine soul soldiers, Zhao Fu did not feel much fear. The divine souls had cold expressions and gave off powerful auras as they rushed at Zhao Fu. Because they were divine souls, they had powerful soul-devouring power, and they were many times more dangerous than the flowering trees outside. Other people might be afraid of soul-devouring power, but Zhao Fu did not fear it at all. After all, Zhao Fu had the 5 celestial senses, a divine bloodline, and a yin-yang soul fire. In front of him were the divine soul soldiers holding spears. Zhao Fu stepped forwards and gave a trace of a confident smile as he met the divine souls, giving off a carefree and heroic aura. Lu Li stared at Zhao Fu from behind, feeling quite fascinated. She did not want to cause trouble for Zhao Fu, so she did not get too close to Zhao Fu. Kill! 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 The group of divine soul soldiers had cold expressions and held spears as they gave off murderous roars. They were quite fast and soon reached within 10 meters of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and gave a confident smile as a massive aura spread out. Clang, 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 the sounds of chains rang out as chains containing powerful auras shot out from the ground, shooting towards the divine soul soldiers like black bolts of lightning. The complexions of the divine soul soldiers changed. They waved the weapons in their hands, knocking away the incoming chains or dodging them. However, there were too many chains and they were constantly shooting out from the ground. Some divine soul soldiers had just dodged one iron chain, but another iron chain quickly bound them. Some divine soul soldiers swung their spears to knock away one iron chain, but another iron chain shot out from a corner and bound their arms. There were also some divine soul soldiers who released thin defensive barriers to block, but they were pierced through by several chains. The divine soul soldiers' bodies were bound. The divine soul soldiers who had been charging forward with ferocious momentum were all bound up in just a few moves. The smile on Zhao Fu's face did not change. The chains that bound the divine soul soldiers started to pull them down, causing black holes to appear in the ground. Now, Zhao Fu had pulled all of the divine soul soldiers into the sealed space and left them there for now. He would deal with them later. After tens of thousands of divine soul soldiers were pulled into the sealed space, tens of thousands of flower trees withered at the same time. Countless flower petals fell like rain, filling the sky like a rain of flowers. The scene was extremely beautiful and spectacular. Zhao Fu's expression did not change, and he continued to walk forward. Lu Li looked at the beautiful scene in front of her, and could not help but sigh in amazement before continuing to follow behind Zhao Fu. Within the flower forest, there were flower trees that were over 100 years old. Each of them was dozens of meters tall and had already given birth to their own divine soul soldiers. In the eyes of others, they were very terrifying, but in front of Zhao Fu, they could not resist at all. The divine soul soldiers gave off powerful auras, and just as they walked out from the flower trees, chains quickly shot out, dragging these divine soul soldiers into the sealed space. Right now, it was not Zhao Fu who was afraid of these divine soul soldiers, but the divine soul soldiers who were afraid of Zhao Fu. Boom, 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 boom. After a while, Zhao Fu's actions finally angered the powerful existences within the flower forest. For massive auras burst out and a terrifying aura spread out like a tide. Under this terrifying aura, the flower forest became even more dangerous, causing people to feel a trace of fear. Chapter 2107. The 4 auras seemed to be spread out in all directions, and after exploding out with powerful auras, they rushed towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly. Zhao Fu stopped and his expression became serious. Lu Li looked ahead with a serious expression. She understood that something terrifying was about to rush out, and from the massive auras, she would not be a match for it. In less than half a minute, 4 figures giving off massive auras appeared in front of Zhao Fu. These 4 people were generals riding on horses. The horses were 3 meters tall, and the generals were 4 or 5 meters tall, making them seem even taller. The generals and horses were silver-white and did not have corporeal bodies. The generals were dressed in armor, and one of them held a silver-white sword, one held a spear, one held a scimitar, and one held a large axe. Moreover, the 4 of them looked different. The one who held the sword was a cold-looking man, the one who held the spear was a resolute young man, the one who held the scimitar was a ferocious-looking woman, and the one who held the large axe was a muscular man. After the 4 of them appeared with massive auras, their gazes fell on Zhao Fu's body. The sword-wielding man asked coldly, "Who are you? You dare to recklessly destroy the Soul Bell Flower Forest?" Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. These 4 people were also godly souls and had their own consciousnesses. They were much stronger than ordinary godly soul soldiers. Zhao Fu said calmly, "I came here to find the Soul Bell Flower. If you hand over the Soul Bell Flower, I can leave." The axe-wielding man said furiously, "You're seeking death. There's no need to waste words. Let's kill this person together." The 4 people did not say anything and gave off powerful auras as they rushed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear, and a massive black aura flowed out. Zhao Fu's thick hand controlled the black aura, forming 4 massive hands that grabbed towards the 4 people. Bang! 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 The 4 people also used great power and swung their weapons, giving off terrifying power that destroyed the 4 massive hands, causing them to turn into black motes of light and dissipate. The 4 people then rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also took out the emperor-killing sword and sent a powerful wave of power into it. A massive wave of sword chi exploded out from the sword, causing a sword wind to blow out. At that moment, a person riding a horse arrived before Zhao Fu. A sword slashed towards Zhao Fu, bringing with it a powerful sword light. Boom! Zhao Fu also slashed out, and a massive sword energy containing massive sword chi slashed towards that person. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the 2 attacks collided, resulting in a massive explosion. However, the person riding the horse charged out of the explosion and arrived in front of Zhao Fu, slashing towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu blocked with his sword, while that person rode past Zhao Fu. Another person rode in front of Zhao Fu on his horse, and as he galloped forwards, he raised his large axe and chopped down. Shing! Zhao Fu swung his sword, blocking this axe. The 2 weapons clashed, causing sparks to fly everywhere. That person rushed past Zhao Fu, and another person riding a horse held a scimitar as he hacked towards Zhao Fu, but he was still blocked by Zhao Fu. The final person holding a spear sent large amounts of power into his spear, causing it to give off an intense silver-white light that illuminated the surroundings, and an extremely powerful soul power spread out. That person held a spear as he rode towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly and gave off a ferocious aura. Zhao Fu stood where he was and raised the emperor-killing sword. He sent large amounts of power into it, causing the emperor-killing sword to give off an intense sword light. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed down, and an enormous black sword light containing immense sword energy slashed forwards, seeming to be able to split apart the ground. That person held a spear that gave off boundless light and stabbed towards Zhao Fu with shocking power. Bang! A massive explosion rang out as the 2 powers collided. A powerful shockwave spread out, creating a 10-meter-wide crater in the ground. This also forced the spear-wielding people to stop rushing over. Seeing this, Chun Feng's expression changed. However, they were not just one person. The other 3 people also attacked Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu continued to fight with them. They charged and attacked, which was quite disadvantageous to Zhao Fu. It was not easy for him to unleash any attacks, and they were easily dodged. The soul horses were also incredibly fast. Zhao Fu flew into the sky and raised the emperor-killing sword. A black sword light shot into the sky, and heaven and earth power quickly gathered in the surroundings. A massive sword formation giving off a destructive aura appeared, and a massive sword aura spread out. Boom! 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 Zhao Fu slashed out, and the sword formation started to spin. terrifying sword lights gave off an aura that seemed to be able to slash apart everything as they slashed towards the four soul generals. Zhao Fu wanted to use this attack to deal with the four soul generals. Facing such a terrifying attack, a small silver-white flower appeared between the eyebrows of the four divine soul generals. It contained an extremely powerful divine soul power. This small flower floated above their heads and a silver barrier of light spread out, covering their bodies. Bang! Bang! Terrifying sword lights descended, shattering the ground. Countless rays of sword light shot everywhere, causing rocks to fly everywhere as terrifying shock waves spread out. After everything calmed down, a 1,000-meter wide crater appeared on the ground. Additionally, there were even traces of terrifying sword energy coming out from the crater. However, the four soul generals at the center of the crater were not injured at all, and the four silver-white barriers only had cracks on them. Thinking about this, Zhao Fu frowned and lightly cried out, "Celestial mode. Activate." Boom! A massive aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, forming a shockwave that spread out. A rainbow-colored aura flame ignited around his body, and a celestial-like aura spread out. The four divine soul generals on the ground had solemn expressions and cold gazes. The protective barrier that protected them dissipated and a powerful force was emitted from the four divine soul generals. Their bodies emitted a dazzling silver-white light. Boom! 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 The four soul generals rode large horses and gave off massive auras as they turned into four rays of silver-white light and shot into the sky. The four rays of light were incredibly fast, and they arrived in front of Zhao Fu in an instant. Zhao Fu slashed out, blocking the rays of light, but the rays of light spread out and attacked Zhao Fu from different directions. Bang! 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 Zhao Fu stood in the air and continuously swung his sword, sending out sword lights that clashed with the silver-white rays of light, resulting in massive sounds. Chapter 2108. These godly soul generals were quite difficult to deal with, and even though Zhao Fu had activated celestial mode, he did not have much of an advantage. Just as Zhao Fu was about to unleash his other powers, bang! Bang! Fist-sized black orbs appeared around the four rays of light, following which a series of explosions occurred. Waves of destructive power exploded out, forming powerful shockwaves. Even though the explosions did not harm the four godly soul generals, the four rays of light dissipated, revealing the four godly soul generals' bodies. On the ground, Luli stretched out her hand and gave off a black light. A destructive aura spread out, and it was evident that she had been the one to unleash that attack. Because Zhao Fu had saved her life, she saw that Zhao Fu did not have an advantage and was unable to deal with the four godly soul generals, so she wanted to help Zhao Fu. Luli was not very strong, so the four soul generals did not pay much attention to her at first. Instead, they focused on Zhao Fu, who was extremely dangerous. However, Luli dared to attack them, causing a trace of killing intent to appear in the four soul generals' eyes. A big man holding a large axe turned his horse around and gave off a massive aura as he rushed over. He wanted to kill Luli. Seeing this, Zhao Fu immediately stretched out a hand and chains shot out from the air, bringing with them immense power as they shot towards the big man. The big man turned and swung his axe, sending out a massive arc of light that seemed to be unstoppable. Clang, 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 many of the iron chains that shot over were instantly severed by the arcs of light. Countless broken iron chains fluttered in the air, emitting crisp sounds. Boom! Zhao Fu's gaze became serious and he sent out a wave of powerful celestial power into the golden pupil in his left eye. The golden pupil became a rainbow-colored pupil, giving off boundless rainbow-colored light. Clang, 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 rainbow-colored chains bringing with them waves of celestial power shot out from the air, flying towards the big man like rainbow-colored streams of light. The big man rode on his horse and brandished the axe in his hand. Axe lights slashed out, cutting down the rainbow chains. However, there were too many chains, and they shot out from all directions. The big man had no way to defend against them. First, the horse was bound by the chains. Then, the man was also bound by the chains. The man struggled with all his might, trying to break free from the 7 colored chains. His strength was truly strong. Some of the 7 colored chains could not withstand his strength, and had already broken apart. The other 3 divine soul generals immediately attacked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not use his sword. Instead, he used his rainbow-colored eyes to look at the 3 incoming soul generals. The rainbow-colored chain-like eyes quickly spun, and a powerful force spread out. Clang, clang, clang. The rainbow-colored chains gave off immense power as they shot towards the 3 soul generals from all directions, and they were incredibly fast. The 3 soul generals immediately released a silver-white defensive cover, covering their entire bodies. Then, they waved their weapons and slashed out rays of cold light, cutting down the incoming chains. Liuli, who was on the ground, stretched out her hand and pressed down on the air. A massive destructive power gushed out from her hand, and black balls appeared around the 3 soul generals. Bang, 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 another series of explosions rang out as waves of destructive power exploded out, seeming to destroy everything in their path. Some cracks appeared on the defensive cover of the 3 soul generals, and more rainbow-colored chains shot towards the 3 soul generals with immense power. The soul generals could only slash out rays of cold light, cutting down the incoming chains. Some of the chains shot out from the other side, hitting the defensive cover, forcing the 3 soul generals to choose to defend. Boom! Once again, flowing pair emitted a huge destructive force. Black balls with destructive aura appeared around the 3 divine soul generals. Then, they all exploded, and waves of destructive force spread out. This wave of explosions caused more and more cracks to appear on the defensive cover of the 3 soul generals. It would not be long before the defensive cover would be broken. Arg! At that moment, the big man bound by the chains loudly roared, and his body gave off an intense, silver-white light. A terrifying wave of godly spirit power flowed out, causing the rainbow-colored chains binding him to continuously break. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and grabbed out with his hand. Crackle, countless blood-red arcs of lightning containing terrifying power flowed along the rainbow-colored chains and hit the big man's body. The big man's body violently trembled, and the intense pain caused him to howl. He stopped struggling, and more rainbow-colored chains shot out, continuing to bind his body. Zhao Fu looked at how much pain the big man was in, and it seemed that the god-slaying power had greatly harmed him. God-slaying power countered godly spirits, and godly spirits contained godly power. God-slaying power could suppress godly power, and lightning could cause great damage to souls. Understanding this, a trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face, and a powerful god-killing power exploded out. Crackle, countless rainbow-colored chains wrapped in blood-colored arcs of lightning lashed out at the 3 divine soul generals. It was a frightening sight to behold. The 3 soul generals' expressions were quite grim, and they gave off even greater power as they swung their weapons, continuously slashing out cold lights that contained shocking power towards the incoming chains. Bang! 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 The metal chains and the cold light continuously clashed in the air, resulting in massive sounds. Gusts of wind blew, and arcs of lightning formed from the god-slaying power swirled around them. The rainbow-colored chains became even more powerful than before, and they greatly countered Soul General's power. Many of the rainbow-colored chains were not destroyed, and they instead lashed against the 3 Soul Generals' defensive barriers with terrifying power. More and more cracks immediately appeared on the defensive barriers. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he released even more chains and god-slaying power. The chains gave off immense power as they slammed against the defensive barriers, and the 3 Soul Generals' defensive barriers were finally unable to withstand the power and shattered. The rainbow-colored chains shot out and bound up the 3 Soul Generals' bodies, and the blood-red arcs of lightning mercilessly struck their bodies. Arg, the three soul generals' bodies violently spasmed, and when the blood-red arcs of lightning struck their bodies, they felt as if their bodies were going to be torn apart. They could not help but howl in pain. It could be said that Hua Lin had met his greatest nemesis. Zhao Fu had the 5 celestial senses and a divine bloodline. The yin-yang soul flame made it so that Hua Lin's devouring power was useless, and now, he even had the god-killing power to counter divine souls. Now, Hua Lin, the forbidden region of the secret realm, was about to suffer. After Zhao Fu used the rainbow-colored chains to bind up the 4 soul generals, the blood-red arcs of lightning continued to strike their bodies, causing immense pain. Their injuries became more and more severe, and they lost the ability to fight. In the end, Zhao Fu dragged them into a sealed space and sealed them there. Chapter 2109. After dealing with the 4 soul generals, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and said to Lu Li, "Thank you for just now." Even though Zhao Fu had dealt with the 4 soul generals by himself, Lu Li had also helped by distracting the 4 soul generals. Lu Li smiled as she said, "No need to thank me, you saved me before." Zhao Fu laughed and did not continue on this topic, and he said, "Let's go then. Don't go so far away and stay by my side." Lu Li could not help but smile and lightly nod. Following this, the two of them continued onwards towards the depths of the flower forest, where the true Soul Bell flower tree should be. After all, Zhao Fu had said that he would leave after taking away the Soul Bell flower tree, and the 4 soul generals seemed quite angry, feeling that Zhao Fu had offended someone. From this, it could be deduced that there was definitely a Soul Bell flower tree. Along the way, Zhao Fu continued to extract soul generals, and the flower trees continuously withered, creating a poignant and beautiful scene. In the end, Zhao Fu and Lu Li came to the depths of the flower forest. What came into view was a sea of white bones that covered the ground. It was hard to tell how many there were at a glance. It was like a sea of bones. There were human bones, dragon bones, demon bones, giant bones, dwarf bones, orc bones, angel bones, beast bones, and so on. It was unknown how many bones there were, but they all had one thing in common, which was that their bones contained divine power. These were the bones of godly spirit. It was unknown how many godly spirits had died to form such a sea of bones, and seeing this scene, Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. The sky was a grayish-white, and the sea of bones was deathly silent. The countless bones did not give off a deathly aura, but there was a bone-chilling feeling, as if one was in an ice purgatory, which was quite terrifying. Standing next to the sea of bones, Zhao Fu felt his hairs stand on end. It was quite dangerous inside, and the Soul Bell flower tree was most likely within the sea of bones. Before, it had been said that the Soul Bell flower tree only grew in places where there were many godly spirits' corpses. Now that so many godly spirits had died here, just what sort of terrifying existence would the Soul Bell flower tree become? It was no wonder that such a large forest of flowers had been formed under its influence. Right now, Zhao Fu had not extracted all of the tree's souls. He had only extracted a small portion, which was enough to clear a path. There were still many trees that he had not extracted. This forest of flowers covered an area of 10,000 miles. It would take a very long time to extract the divine souls of so many flower trees, so Zhao Fu came to the depths of the flower forest in advance. Otherwise, by the time Zhao Fu finished extracting the divine souls, the competition might have already ended. Zhao Fu turned his head and looked at Lu Li beside him with a serious look. It may be very dangerous ahead. If you want to follow me in, then follow me closely and don't leave my side. Lu Li nodded seriously. Then, Zhao Fu and Lu Li flew into the sea of bones. They didn't encounter any danger, and the sea of bones was still dead silent. After more than an hour, Zhao Fu and Lu Li came to the depth of the sea of bones. It was very strange here. There was no bone on the ground, but a green grassland with a width of tens of thousands of meters. A tree grew in the middle of the green grassland. This tree was only a dozen meters high, with a trunk of 3 or 4 meters thick. The trunk was snow-white, and its surface was smooth without any lines. It didn't feel like a tree trunk. The crown was very big, and it opened around like an umbrella. There were many small silver-white flowers blooming on it. Each flower had a divine character imprinted on it, and the divine characters flickered within them. Now, standing in the distance, Zhao Fu could smell the charming fragrance of the flowers. Just a slight sniff made him feel comfortable and relaxed as if he was in heaven. Standing beside the grassland, Zhao Fu hesitated for a moment. He knew that it would be very dangerous ahead, but he had to go ahead. So, he lifted his feet and stepped into the grassland. However, nothing happened. Zhao Fu was a little surprised, but he continued to move forward. Seeing that nothing happened, Lu Li also followed behind Zhao Fu. The two walked forward, and each step was very careful. They were vigilant against accidents that might happen at any time, but in the end, nothing happened. In the end, Zhao Fu and Lu Li came to the front of the flower tree, which was only a dozen meters away from the tree. Ding-ling, ding-ling, ding-ling. At that moment, the flowering tree gently swayed, and the countless silver-white flowers gave off a clear sound. Each flower gave off a musical note, and the countless musical notes formed a melody that pulled people into a dream. Zhao Fu came to a place shrouded in fog, which was filled with dense white fog. He couldn't see the scenery in front of him clearly, and there were white bones on the ground. It was very humid here, and the air was filled with moisture. Howls could be heard from time to time. Seeing that he had come to this place, Zhao Fu knew that he had entered an illusion, but Zhao Fu wasn't afraid because Zhao Fu also had something to deal with illusions. Zhao Fu stood where he was and lightly shouted, "Sage mode. Open." Boom! A powerful aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, and a massive celestial aura spread out like a tide. His body burned with a rainbow-colored aura flame. Not only did Sage Mode have a powerful mental defense, but it was also very effective against illusions. Ordinary illusions were useless against Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu could directly break through powerful illusions by activating Sage Mode. However, after Zhao Fu activated Sage Mode, his surroundings didn't change much. Zhao Fu didn't feel too nervous, and a wave of celestial power flowed into the glass pupil in his left eye. Zhao Fu also had the glass illusory pupil, which had powerful illusions. Moreover, it was a celestial technique, and it could easily break through all illusions. Zhao Fu's glass pupil gave off a rainbow-colored light, and everything around him collapsed and dissipated. In the end, Zhao Fu returned to his original place, which was in front of the flower tree. Zhao Fu turned his head to look at Lu Li, who was standing there like a statue. His face was very pale, and he was most likely trapped in an illusion. His godly soul and divine power were being greatly drained, and if this continued, he would definitely die here. Without any hesitation, Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a massive wave of rainbow-colored power shot out and flowed into Lu Li's body. Lu Li quickly woke up and understood what had just happened. She was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat, and she weakly said to Zhao Fu, "Thank you. You've saved me again." Zhao Fu laughed and said, "It's all right, you should recover your strength first." Lu Li nodded before turning and leaving this grassland. Now that she knew that it was very dangerous, she didn't want to cause trouble for Zhao Fu. After coming to the Sea of Bones, Lu Li sat cross-legged on the ground, took out a few medicinal pills, and consumed them, and started to recover her strength. Zhao Fu looked at the flower tree in front of him. Chapter 21:10. Come out, I know of your existence. Your illusion is useless against me, Zhao Fu said seriously as he looked at the flowering tree. Zhao Fu could sense the flower ancestor's aura from the flowering tree, and Zhao Fu was quite familiar with this aura. Not only had he seen the first evil spirit Abyss Flower's flower ancestor, but he had also seen the golden flower ancestor. Even though the Flower Ancestors' aura was not as powerful as the evil spirit Abyss Flower Ancestors, it was far more powerful than the Golden Flower Ancestors' aura. The Golden Flower Ancestor had grown for countless years and had relied on Zhao Fu's divine blood to become a flower ancestor. This flowering tree had been a flower ancestor for many years. It definitely had its own consciousness and should be able to communicate. Perhaps it could turn into a human form. Most flower ancestors had this ability. However, after waiting for a while, Zhao Fu did not receive a reply, making the situation quite awkward. Zhao Fu felt quite confused and wondered what was going on. Could it be that the flower ancestor did not want to talk to him? Zhao Fu continued onwards. Boom! At that moment, the flowering tree exploded out with a shocking aura and gave off countless traces of silver light. Divine runes lit up within the small flowers and shot out countless traces of light. Divine runes appeared in the air one after another. Each divine rune was extremely complex and profound. They gave off a silvery white light and surrounded the tree. They gave off a supreme divine might, as if they were the emperor of the gods. They made people want to kneel down and worship them. Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. This divine might was not inferior to the divine might given off by the god race's supreme emperor star. It was definitely a terrifying divine might. Lu Li, who had been cultivating in the Sea of Bones, sensed this boundless divine might and felt quite shocked. He opened his eyes and looked at the flowering tree surrounded by divine runes. So this is the true Soul Bell Tree flower's power. It was the first time Lu Li had seen the Soul Bell Tree flower's power. Before, he had only heard about it and felt quite shocked. As one of the 8 great wondrous flowers, it was indeed extraordinary. Now, the flowering tree was giving off such a terrifying divine might that directly pressed down on Zhao Fu's body. This divine might was a type of pressure on one's body and mind, and ordinary geniuses would not be able to withstand it and would directly kneel on the ground. The void seemed to be filled with this kind of silvery white light. Space appeared to be distorted and solidified under this kind of divine power. The position near the tree and the position not near the tree were like 2 different worlds. At this time, Zhao Fu was suppressed by this pressure. Not to mention taking a step forward, even standing up was very difficult. The peerless divine aura emitted by the flowering tree was powerful, but Zhao Fu was no ordinary person. He was also of very terrifying existence. It was absolutely impossible for Zhao Fu to kneel on the ground and submit to this supreme divine might. Boom! Under this terrifying divine might, Zhao Fu released all of his divine bloodline's power without holding back at all. A terrifying aura flowed out of Zhao Fu's body like a flood, and no one could resist it. Lu Li, who was recovering his strength in the Sea of Bones, was given a big fright when he sensed that powerful aura. He stood up from the ground and looked at Zhao Fu in shock. At that moment, Zhao Fu's body gave off an intense black light, and faint dragon inscriptions appeared as his aura became more and more powerful. Boom! His aura finally reached a critical point, and a black dragon inscription light beam shot into the sky, giving off a massive explosion as waves of black light rippled out. A massive black pillar of light formed and stood between the heavens and earth, giving off an arrogant and powerful aura. Boom! A transcendent pressure that was above all else, that was not bound by any laws, instantly enveloped the entire world, and the world froze in that instant. Within the secret realm, the countless terrifying geniuses, whether it was Mie Lu, God Ke, Lei Tianba, Yu Chan, or Xin Qianhua, all felt this might from a pure divine bloodline, and their expressions fell as they looked in that direction. A divine bloodline! Everyone looked in that direction, looking quite shocked. This competition between gods was incredibly intense, and even a holy sun was participating. Moreover, from this might, it was definitely not an ordinary holy sun. As people with 2 emperor stars, Tianyu and Mie Lu also felt a wave of pressure. A holy sun came from a divine faction, which was much more powerful than an imperial faction. Even though they had emperor stars, they could not be careless. After all, their bloodlines were only at the peak of the imperial bloodline, and facing a divine bloodline, they would be suppressed. This was quite disadvantageous for them, and if they were careless, they could lose. Moreover, a holy sun had a higher chance of awakening an emperor star than an emperor star. Who knew if that holy sun had a supreme emperor star? God Kerr and Sha Ming's expressions became quite serious. A holy sun's appearance meant that it would be even more difficult for them to obtain the Master of Gods. After all, not only would they have to face someone with 2 emperor stars, but they would also have to face a holy sun with a divine bloodline. If even those at the top felt like this, those at the bottom felt even more pressure. Now, they did not have much confidence in obtaining the Master of Gods because there were simply too many terrifying figures participating. The young man in green was the one who had obtained the Tree Lord God's legacy, and his name was Lu Ming. He had a divine bloodline, so he was quite sensitive to this aura. Now, Lu Ming's expression was quite unsightly. This holy sun's aura was much more powerful than his divine bloodline aura. Which terrifying figure from a divine faction was participating in this competition? Only a famous holy sun from a divine faction would have this kind of power. Otherwise, Lu Yin could not think of anyone with such terrifying holy sun's aura. Now, Lu Yin felt a headache coming on. There were simply too many changes. First, there were people continuously obtaining core gods' legacies, and now, such a powerful holy sun had appeared. His advantage was not very big. As for the few people hidden in the crowd, when they felt the aura, their expressions turned solemn. They did not dare to underestimate or be careless. This situation had greatly exceeded their expectations. With their status and power, they knew just how terrifying the person who gave off this aura was. News of a holy sun's appearance quickly spread throughout the secret realm, causing it to be sent into an uproar. Everyone looked incredibly excited, wanting to see what this legendary holy sun was like. At the same time, they felt even more anticipation. Now that a holy sun was participating, the battles in the later stages could only be described as incredibly wretched. These ordinary people did not even have a trace of hope of obtaining the Master of Gods. They were spectators, so they wanted to see who would obtain the Master of Gods and the terrifying battles between experts. Of course, there were also some people who could comprehend some things through the battles between powerhouses and thus increase their own strength. Chapter 21:11. Needless to say, because of the appearance of a holy sun, the secret realm became even more lively. The experts' expressions were all serious, and they continuously wanted to increase their strength. The ordinary people looked quite excited, and they discussed this matter with others while searching for treasures. Many of the experts in the stands looked at the powerful black light pillar that was emitting terrifying fluctuations, and they were all shocked. They knew more than the others, and they also knew who was the one who emitted this black light pillar. Who would have thought that he would have a divine bloodline and be a holy sun? Things are becoming quite interesting. It's quite rare to see so many holy suns participating in this competition. We felt that he wasn't simple at all. At first, we thought that he was someone from the Demon Emperor, but we underestimated his identity. However, this all explains why he has such great power. God Kerr has the power to devour 10,000 godly creatures, and this holy sun also has the power to devour 10,000 godly creatures. Now that the two of them are clashing, there'll be a good show to watch. I wonder who will win. That's right. I thought that this person was inferior to God Kerr, but it seems that he's not any weaker than God Kerr. I don't know who will win either, but we'll find out when the time comes. It seems that the second King of Kings also has a divine bloodline, and this person has obtained so many god legacies. It's much more likely that he's the King of Kings. Flowingly looked at the intense black light emitted by the light beam in front of her, and felt the terrifying fluctuations. Her body felt as if it had fallen into ice water, and her whole body began to tremble. She had never thought that a holy son like Zhao Fu would have such terrifying power. However, she understood why Zhao Fu was so mysterious and had such shocking power. The flower forest that ordinary people feared was useless against him. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu controlled this otherworldly might to blast against the Soul Bell Tree flower. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two terrifying might collided. An extremely terrifying power exploded out, and the space around them seemed to collapse. The scene was incredibly terrifying. A trace of coldness appeared in Zhao Fu's eyes as he stepped forwards. Boom! The pressure that seemed to be above everything became even more terrifying as it heavily pressed down on the Soul Bell Tree flower. The Soul Bell Tree flower was unable to withstand this might, and the silver-white divine runes around it started to crumble. More and more divine runes crumbled, and the might that the Soul Bell Tree flower gave off became weaker and weaker. Finally, the might from the Soul Bell Tree flower disappeared, and the entire Soul Bell Tree flower was suppressed by Zhao Fu might. It seemed to be locked down and was unable to move at all. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and walked in front of the Soul Bell flower's trunk. He pressed a hand against the trunk and sent a wave of energy into it. Zhao Fu's consciousness entered a world filled with Soul Bell flower trees. There were Soul Bell flower trees everywhere, creating a beautiful scene. The air was filled with the fragrance of flowers. Zhao Fu did not continue looking. He had already seen this sort of scene in the flower forest, but this one was even bigger and more shocking. Zhao Fu flew into the sky and continued onward. Zhao Fu found an extremely beautiful woman lying on a bed. She had peerlessly beautiful looks and had silver-white hair. There were a few faint green flowers on her head, and she wore a silver-white dress. Her figure was mature and she gave off a trace of an emperor's domineering aura. Zhao Fu found an extremely beautiful woman lying on a bed. This woman had peerlessly beautiful looks and had silver-white hair. There were a few faint green flowers on her head, and she wore a silver-white dress. She had a mature figure and gave off a trace of an emperor's domineering aura. After discovering this woman, Zhao Fu did not immediately go up. This woman was most likely the Soul Bell Tree flower's soul, and if he rashly went up, he would be in great danger. After seeing this woman, Zhao Fu did not directly go up. This woman was most likely the Soul Bell Tree flower's soul, and if he rashly went up, he would be in great danger. However, after waiting for a while, Zhao Fu did not hear anything, and the woman did not show any signs of waking up. He walked up to the woman. Her body was still emitting a faint fragrance, but she still didn't look like she was going to wake up. Zhao Fu felt quite confused. Just what was going on? Why was the Soul Bell Tree flower's soul sleeping here and not waking up? Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and touched her face, feeling the warmth from her skin. He lightly stroked it and found that the Soul Bell Tree flower still did not wake up. This was a great opportunity. Since she did not resist, she could not blame him for being despicable and taking advantage of her. Zhao Fu decided to first control her before waking her up. That way, he would be able to subdue her. Because the Soul Bell Tree flower's power was incredibly terrifying, Zhao Fu planned to split off a 6 desires demonic seed to control her. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and a massive wave of 6 desires demonic chi flowed out, continuously condensing in his hand. It formed a black seed that was as big as a walnut, and it gave off a powerful demonic chi. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand to the woman's abdomen and pressed down, causing the black seed to enter her body. Following this, a wave of 6 desires demonic chi spread out and covered her entire body. Following this, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and did not withdraw his hand. A powerful wave of energy entered the woman's body, and Zhao Fu planned to wake her up. However, even though Zhao Fu sent a wave of energy into her body to wake her up, it was to no avail. Her consciousness space was completely silent and did not show any signs of movement. Zhao Fu stopped. Seeing that ordinary methods would not be able to wake her up, Zhao Fu thought of the flower celestial's power. The flower celestial was the goal of all flowers in the world. If he used the flower celestial's power as a catalyst, he would be able to wake the woman up. Zhao Fu's hand on the flower celestial's abdomen gave off a rainbow-colored light, and a wave of flower celestial's power flowed into the woman's body. The woman's consciousness space quickly reacted. The flower celestial's power was indeed useful. However, it seemed that the woman's consciousness had matured for too long, and only a trace of her consciousness had awakened. It would take a long time for her to fully awaken. Zhao Fu did not want this to continue, and he thought of another power, which was the god-killing power. The god-killing power greatly countered souls, and if he used its power, he would be able to stimulate the woman's consciousness and increase her stats. As such, Zhao Fu's hand on the woman's abdomen gave off traces of blood-red lightning that swam towards the woman's consciousness space. Under the stimulation of the lightning, the woman's consciousness greatly reacted. The woman's consciousness awakened in a small area. Zhao Fu had no idea how long she had matured for her to be in such a deep sleep. After a while, the woman still did not wake up. Zhao Fu thought of the final power, which was the 6 desires demonic chi's power. The 6 desires demonic chi greatly countered women, so it would be quite effective. Chapter 21:12. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile. Looking at the woman's peerlessly beautiful looks, it was not inferior to Yu Chan's at all. It seemed that he would have to make another sacrifice. Zhao Fu leaned over and kissed the woman's lips, and a wave of 6 desires demonic chi continuously flowed into her body. The 6 desires demonic seed within her body was affected and quickly grew. Under the stimulation of the 3 powers, the woman's consciousness was greatly awakened, and she instinctively responded to Zhao Fu. Her eyelashes slightly trembled, and in the end, the woman slowly opened her silver-white flower eyes. She immediately saw Zhao Fu's face and sensed what Zhao Fu had done to her. But a clear sound rang out as the woman's gaze became cold, and she slapped Zhao Fu, sending Zhao Fu flying. Zhao Fu fell to the ground and felt the pain on his face. He looked quite surprised that he had been slapped by the woman. Zhao Fu had not expected the woman to wake up so quickly, so he had been caught off guard. Otherwise, with Zhao Fu's power, she would not have been able to hit Zhao Fu so easily. The woman sat up on the bed and looked at Zhao Fu with her silver-white flower eyes, looking quite angry as she said, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu touched his face, which was still in pain, and stood up from the ground. He was within the Soulbell flower tree's consciousness space, so people outside could not know what was going on here. At that moment, Zhao Fu looked at the woman and said with a confident and domineering voice, "I am the ruler of the Qin Empire, and I woke you up from your slumber. Now you belong to me." The woman said coldly, "Who belongs to you? You bastard, you dared to violate me while I was asleep. I'll kill you." The peerlessly beautiful woman said angrily as she raised her hand, preparing to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Luckily, he had been prepared from the start, so he was not afraid at all. He directly activated the 6 desires demonic seed within the peerless woman's body. The peerless beauty, who had been giving off a massive aura and was about to attack, suddenly felt an evil energy spread out. Her body became hot and powerless, and her face became red. His strength was also rapidly weakening. Even if he wanted to attack Zhao Fu, he did not have much strength left. The peerless beauty's face flushed red with anger. "You bastard, what did you do to me?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I already said that I was the one who awakened you, so you belong to me now. There's no point in resisting now." The absolute beauty felt her body become hotter and hotter, and her body became even more powerless as she cursed, "You despicable person, perverted thief, doing such a thing to me." Zhao Fu smiled, and did not say anything else as he continued to urge the 6 desires demonic seed to grow. The peerless beauty's body powerlessly lay on the bed. Her face was bright red as she panted and softly moaned. At that moment, Zhao Fu walked in front of the peerless beauty and pinched her chin as he lightly laughed and said, "There aren't many women in this world who would dare to slap my face. Today, you need to be punished." Following this, Zhao Fu started to train the peerless beauty. 3 hours later, the peerless beauty was naked, and her face was red as she panted in Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu also obtained information about the peerless beauty. Her name was Hualing. She was a very ancient soulbell tree flower. She was very powerful and had already reached the void realm. In the past, she was even more powerful. She was even more powerful than ordinary almighty beings. Her power was comparable to a half-immortal's. However, the secret realm did not allow such powerful existences to appear. Hualing had been heavily injured by the Pantheon mirror and had fallen into a deep sleep. Only now had she been woken up by Zhao Fu. Outside the world of consciousness, the soulbell tree flower's attacks had been instinctively unleashed by the soulbell tree flower and had not been controlled by Hualing. Zhao Fu now felt quite fortunate that Hualing had been heavily injured by the Pantheon mirror and her strength had fallen greatly. Otherwise, with her half-immortal strength, even if Zhao Fu had the 6 desires demonic qi, it would be useless. The difference in strength was simply too great. However, this was enough to prove just how terrifying Hualing's power had been back then, for the Pantheon mirror to suppress her. The Pantheon mirror was a supreme divine item in the godly world and had existed since the godly world had been born. Back then, that peerless genius had detonated the first god race Supreme Emperor Star and had not been able to harm the Pantheon mirror at all. It had unimaginably terrifying power. Moreover, Hualing herself was a void realm expert, which was above the Emperor Heaven realm. She had the strength to suppress ordinary Emperor Heaven realm experts, which would be of great help to Zhao Fu. If he brought her back, she would become the #1 expert in Qin City. The #1 expert in Qin City had been the demon domain's #1 beauty, Moji. However, her cultivation was only at the peak of the Emperor Heaven realm and was just a bit away from breaking through to the Void realm. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for Zhao Fu to control an Emptiness realm expert. First of all, they wouldn't just lie there and let you set down restrictions. Moreover, Emptiness realm experts could easily break through restrictions, as Emptiness realm experts were definitely many times more powerful than Zhao Fu. Now that Zhao Fu could control Hualing, he had a great advantage. She lay there and did not resist at all, allowing Zhao Fu to plant the 6 desires demonic seed in her. Secondly, Zhao Fu's power was incredibly great, and the 6 desires demonic seed was not an ordinary power. Finally, after sleeping for so many years, Hualing had not fully grasped her power yet, so she could not resist much. Apart from Hualing's power, she also had special abilities. Each of the 8 wondrous flowers had their own unique abilities, and the soulbell tree flower's ability was to give birth to godly souls. The soulbell tree flower could give birth to a large number of godly souls. These godly souls looked like ordinary godly souls, but their main use was to fuse into other people's bodies and give them a portion of godly souls' power. Even though with Zhao Fu's current strength, ordinary godly souls were quite weak, they were still godly souls that countless commoners worship. They were lofty and powerful godly souls. Moreover, these godly souls had the power to devour godly souls, causing the soldiers who fused with godly souls to become even more powerful. If an army had godly souls' power and the ability to devour godly souls, the scene would be quite terrifying. It could be said that if they were nurtured, Qin City would have a powerful army, which was quite important to Qin City. Moreover, the soulbell tree flower could use soul sounds to create illusions. The little silver-white flowers that grew out of it could lightly sway and give off soul sounds. This was a sound that only souls could hear, and it was quite special and difficult to resist. Its power was naturally even more terrifying and could be used even more effectively. Chapter 21:13. However, only true soulbell tree flowers had such an ability, and they were one of the 8 wondrous flowers. There were not many of them, so this ability was not very useful to Zhao Fu. Now there were 5 wondrous flowers: Dark Night Flower, Evil Spirit Abyss Flower, Otherworld Gold Flower, and Soulbell Tree Flower, and Zhao Fu was missing 3 more before he could gather the 8 wondrous flowers. Of the remaining 3, 1 was a devil attribute, 1 was a spirit attribute, and 1 was a water attribute. Collecting the 8 wondrous flowers would not only allow the flower fairy's power to quickly recover, but the 8 wondrous flowers' power would also be of great help to Qin. As such, Zhao Fu had to collect them all. Combining all of this information, it seemed that subduing the Soulbell Tree Flower would be incredibly useful to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled and looked at Hua Ling, who was panting and not wearing any clothes, and said, "Put on your clothes and let's leave this place." Hua Ling glared at Zhao Fu and said angrily, "Who's going to leave with you?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he lifted her chin and said, "Don't blame me if you're still so stubborn." Hua Ling understood what Zhao Fu meant. She remembered how Zhao Fu had taught her, so she blushed and swatted away Zhao Fu's hand before angrily putting on her clothes. She had once been in existence that could rival a half-step celestial, and now she had to submit to Zhao Fu. She felt quite angry and could not accept this. Zhao Fu did not say anything else and smiled as he left the Soulbell Tree Flower's mental world and returned to his body. In the real world, Zhao Fu withdrew his hand from the Soulbell Tree Flower. The Soulbell Tree Flower gave off a silver-white light and continuously changed before turning into Hua Ling's appearance. It was said that Hua Ling was a flower ancestor and was even older than the golden flower ancestor, so she could take human form. Now all the strange phenomena had disappeared. Luli looked at the scene in front of her in surprise. It seemed that Zhao Fu had subdued the Soulbell Tree Flower. Luli wanted to congratulate him, but she suddenly thought of Zhao Fu's identity as a holy son, and she was just a maid beside him. The difference in their identities was too big, which made her a little hesitant. However, Luli thought of Zhao Fu's gentle attitude towards her. He should not be the kind of arrogant person who regarded her as a friend, so Luli still smiled and stepped forward. "Congratulations!" He subdued the Soulbell Tree Flower. At this moment, Zhao Fu smiled and pulled Hua Ling into his embrace. Hua Ling struggled a few times and found that she couldn't break free, so she could only let Zhao Fu hug her and look at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes. Hearing Lu Li's words, Zhao Fu replied, "Yeah, thank you." Looking at Hua Ling in Zhao Fu's embrace, Lu Li felt quite complicated and uncomfortable, and the smile on her face became quite stiff. At that moment, Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Now that the greatest danger in the flower forest has been resolved, there might be some treasures within the flower forest. Let's go and have a look, perhaps we'll have great gains." Lu Li returned to normal and happily smiled as she nodded. At that moment, Hua Ling lightly harumphed and said, "Where I grew up, there are many god source bones, which are incredibly precious materials." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised and looked at Hua Ling in his embrace. He had never thought that she would take the initiative to say that there were good things there. Hua Ling turned her face away. She did not want to give such precious materials to others. Moreover, she was now Zhao Fu's woman, and even though she was quite unwilling, this was the truth. As such, she was thinking for Zhao Fu's sake. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and let go of Hua Ling before waving his hand towards the place where Hua Ling had grown up. A wave of energy rippled out, tearing open the ground and revealing many platinum-colored bones. God Source bones were formed from countless godly spirit bones, and they were incredibly precious. They could be used to forge Emperor Heaven armaments, and ordinary people would not be able to obtain them or even see them before. The platinum-colored bones came in all sorts of shapes. There were skulls, hand bones, foot bones, and even wild beast bones. Zhao Fu put away all of the bones, and there were 160 or so of them in total. Zhao Fu took out 3 and handed them to Lu Li as he said, "This is for you." Lu Li gave a delighted smile. These God-source bones were incredibly precious to her, and she had never thought that Zhao Fu would give them to her. Lu Li felt that she had not done anything for Zhao Fu, yet Zhao Fu had saved her twice, making her feel quite embarrassed. Zhao Fu could tell what Lu Li was thinking and lightly laughed as he said, "It's fate that we've met, and there are many of these things." Lu Li did not refuse and smiled as she said, "Thank you." Following this, Zhao Fu and Lu Li went to other places and obtained some good things. Zhao Fu looked at Lu Li and smiled as he said, "I'll extract some godly spirits before leaving this place. We'll meet again in the future if fate allows it." Now that he had subdued the soul bell tree flower and obtained many benefits, Zhao Fu's quest had been completed. As such, he would immediately leave and continue to search for the core god's legacy land, as well as plunder the godly spirit's divine power. Moreover, Zhao Fu knew Lu Li's identity, and she was not Zhao Fu's subordinate, so it was impossible for Zhao Fu to always take her with him. Lu Li saw that the smile on Zhao Fu's face had faded, and she felt a trace of reluctance in her heart. However, she understood that Zhao Fu and her were not the same kind of people. Moreover, she was Mia Lu's maidservant, and her role was to stay by Mia Lu's side. It was impossible for her to leave with Zhao Fu. In the end, Lu Li gave a faint smile and nodded as she said, "We'll meet again in the future if fate allows it." Zhao Fu hugged Hua Ling and flew to a highland forest of flowers, and he stretched out a hand, preparing to extract the godly spirits of the flowers. Only now did Hua Ling understand why Zhao Fu wanted to extract the godly spirit. She understood that if these godly spirits were extracted, the flowers would all die, so she stopped Zhao Fu and said, "You can't do this." Zhao Fu looked quite startled and immediately understood Hua Ling's intentions. These flowers were closely related to Hua Ling, and if he wanted to extract the godly spirits of these flowers, Hua Ling naturally did not want to see Zhao Fu do this. Looking at Hua Ling's angry expression, Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Now that he had obtained Hua Ling, these godly spirits were not as attractive to Zhao Fu as before. Moreover, Zhao Fu would leave after extracting a bit more souls. He would not stay here for too long, as that would waste too much time. Zhao Fu had more important things to do. Zhao Fu looked at Hua Ling and smiled as he said, "All right, I won't extract the godly spirits anymore. I won't extract your divine soul anymore. Let's leave this place." Hua Ling felt quite surprised. She had never thought that Zhao Fu would agree so quickly. She had thought that Zhao Fu would forcefully extract the godly spirits, and she would do her best to stop Zhao Fu. However, none of this had happened. Now, Hua Ling looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes, and her anger towards Zhao Fu slightly subsided. At that moment, the flowers sensed Hua Ling's aura and felt that something had happened. Chapter 21:14. Boom. Boom. Waves of powerful auras exploded out as 100-year-old trees gave off a silver-white light. Godly spirit soldiers wearing armor and holding weapons walked out of the trees, giving off powerful divine power. "We greet Lord." The countless divine souls knelt on one knee and looked incredibly respectful. Their gazes burned with adoration as they called out in unison. These divine souls had all been formed by Hua Ling's power. Hua Ling was the person who created them, and their power came from Hua Ling. As such, the countless divine souls instinctively respected Hua Ling. Moreover, Hua Ling herself could control these divine souls. These were all 100-year-old trees, and because the divine souls were already very powerful, they could condense into human shapes. Those that were only a few decades old were still orbs of light and could not leave the tree. Zhao Fu felt quite surprised as he looked at the divine souls that covered the entire mountain range. They all knelt on one knee and gave off silver-white light, creating a shocking scene. There were roughly millions of divine souls. These millions of divine souls were incredibly powerful, and if they worked together, even Zhao Fu would not be able to deal with them easily. In fact, he might not even be able to defeat them. Hua Ling could clearly sense the emotions of the trees, so seeing the divine souls appear, she did not seem surprised at all. Zhao Fu thought about it and stretched out a hand, causing a black wave of energy to spread out. 4 large black holes appeared in the ground, and 4 divine soul generals bound by chains slowly floated out. The 4 divine soul generals had been furiously struggling, wanting to break free from the countless chains binding them. However, when they saw the person in front of them, they immediately looked delighted and lowered their heads as they respectfully called out, "Master." They were soul generals guarding Hua Ling in 4 directions, and Zhao Fu felt that their relationship with Hua Ling would be closer. As such, they would most likely listen to Hua Ling's orders. Everything was as Zhao Fu had thought. As long as he could subdue Hua Ling, he would be able to subdue all of the divine souls. Hua Ling looked at the 4 divine soul generals and gave a trace of a smile. Back when she had been asleep, she had split off some of her power and sent it into their bodies so that they could protect her. After so many years, the 4 divine soul generals had become so powerful, but they still couldn't resist Zhao Fu. Hua Ling also understood that Zhao Fu was extremely terrifying. Putting aside the fact that he had relied on despicable methods to subdue her, Hua Ling would have taken some protective measures to protect herself while she was asleep. In other words, it was the ability to use sound to create illusions as well as that supreme divine might. That illusion was incredibly powerful, and the boundless divine might was even more terrifying. It contained the God race's source energy and could rival the might from the God race's supreme emperor star. The Soul Bell Tree Flower was first formed in that earth-shattering war, which was also the war that the peerless genius had led countless experts to wage against the Pantheon Mirror. It grew and metamorphosed amidst the corpses of countless experts. Back then, the Pantheon Mirror had given off an unimaginably divine might and a powerful creation god's power. It had sealed 25 main gods, and the Soul Bell flowers within the countless corpses had been affected by the Pantheon Mirror's power, forming the Soul Bell flowers. Of course, Hua Ling was not the original Soul Bell Tree Flower, but that power had been passed down, which was why it had given off such terrifying divine might. However, that supreme divine might had been suppressed by Zhao Fu's bloodline's might. She could not help but wonder what sort of monster Zhao Fu was. If she had not personally experienced it, Hua Ling would not have believed this to be true. Now that 4 powerful godly soul generals had fallen at Zhao Fu's hands, Hua Ling did not feel that it was strange. She had thought that Zhao Fu had killed the 4 godly soul generals. Hua Ling looked at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu understood and released the chains binding the 4 godly soul generals. The 4 godly soul generals knelt on the ground, looking incredibly respectful and joyful. Their master, who they had protected for so long, had finally woken up. To them, this was the happiest thing. Hua Ling was the center of all the godly soul generals, and the godly soul generals treated her as their master and were willing to listen to her. Looking at the 4 godly soul generals and the countless godly soul soldiers, Zhao Fu thought for a moment before asking seriously, "Are you willing to leave this place with me?" "We are willing to follow our master." The 4 godly soul generals and countless godly soul soldiers knelt on the ground and shouted in unison, their voices shaking the surroundings. Standing in front of the countless kneeling godly soul generals, Hua Ling had a trace of a smile on her face. She was like an empress, giving off a domineering and mighty aura. Zhao Fu could sense her aura from behind her. Hua Ling herself had a powerful empress aura, and her fate was also empress fate. If it was not for Zhao Fu subduing her, she would have definitely become an empress in the future. Boom! At that moment, Hua Ling stretched out a hand and a massive silver-white energy flowed out. Divine runes flickered in the sky, covering the entire sky, and a shocking aura spread out. Swish, 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 the divine runes were like tiny rays of light that fell on the trees on the ground, causing them to give off an even more intense silver-white light, causing the ground to become a sea of light. Countless souls stood up from the ground and returned to the flowering trees. Then, the flowering trees began to change and condense. The flowering trees turned into lychee-sized, diamond-shaped silver-white seeds. The trees had all disappeared, making this place seem quite spacious. However, not all of the trees had disappeared, and some trees that had been around for decades remained. This was because these trees' godly souls were too weak and could not be taken away, so they could only remain here. There were still many of these trees, and the power that they gave off to devour godly souls was quite powerful. Ordinary people definitely would not dare to get close to this place. Without Hua Ling, a true soul bell tree, this region's power would greatly decrease in the future. However, as long as these trees continued to grow, this place would become a terrifying forbidden region. Of course, this was not something that Zhao Fu needed to worry about. Hua Ling waved her hand, and the silver-white seeds floating in the air all flew towards her before disappearing. She only needed to bring these seeds back and plant them on the ground. They would form a forest of flowers, and the godly souls would not be weakened. Following this, Hua Ling would use this forest to nurture countless godly souls and create a godly spirit army. After putting away all of the seeds, Hua Ling gave a trace of a smile, seeming quite good. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Now that we've dealt with the forest of flowers, let's leave this place." Hua Ling turned and looked at Zhao Fu with her beautiful eyes as she said, "Where are we going? And what are you going to do next?" Chapter 21:15. Zhao Fu briefly explained his plan. He told Hua Ling to wait for him at a certain place and introduce a few people to her. Zhao Fu would continue to search for the god's legacy and the godly power of the gods. However, Hua Ling did not want this at all. She said, "I don't want to wait for you at a certain place. After sleeping for so long, I want to look around. I can help you find the god's legacy and snatch the godly power of the gods." Zhao Fu thought that Hua Ling, as someone from the secret realm, would naturally know more than Zhao Fu. Moreover, she was an emptiness realm cultivator and was more powerful than him. Therefore, Zhao Fu nodded and agreed. Now, the first stage of the competition had begun. Only those with blue marks could stay in the secret realm. Those with white marks would be forcefully teleported out of the secret realm. Everyone could not stay in the secret realm. They could only fight and raise their marks to the blue level. This caused the secret realm to become chaotic. Fights broke out everywhere. Some people even started to form groups. A group of people was definitely more powerful than a single person. Therefore, they formed groups to bully a single person. They wanted to raise their marks to the blue level. Moreover, there were no restrictions. Others could do this. However, this was only done by the weaker ones. Some experts disdained to do this. Those who were surrounded by a group of people had no chance of winning, unless they were someone like Zhao Fu. On a flat piece of land, a few groups of people were fighting, and powerful auras spread out. Waves of powerful power spread out, creating shockwaves. Boom! A powerful explosion sounded out as a massive aura pressed down on the countless people's bodies like a massive hand. Everyone's bodies froze as they felt terror. Everyone looked up and saw two people appear in the sky. One of them was wearing a cloak. They recognized him as a god Caesar. As for the other person, they did not know her at all. They had never seen or heard of her before. The woman was extremely beautiful and gave off a terrifying aura. This aura was actually the aura of an emptiness realm expert. Oh my god! This is actually the pressure of an emptiness realm expert. However, How could there be someone with such a terrifying cultivation in the secret realm? The secret realm has always restricted people above the Emperor Heaven realm from participating in the competition of the gods. Now that a void realm expert has appeared, I can't figure out who could hide their strength and enter. I don't think so. The entrance to the secret plane is controlled by the Pantheon mirror. Who in the world can hide from the Pantheon mirror? That's impossible. I also think that it's impossible for her to have hidden her strength and come in. She must be someone from the arcane realm, which is why she has such terrifying strength. If that's the case, it makes sense. What's the relationship between the God-stealer and this person? They actually appeared together. Oh right, could it be that the deity snatcher was afraid of Lei Tianba and asked an emptiness realm expert to support him? That is possible. After all, Lei Tianba is too powerful. Humans would definitely be afraid of him. However, the divine snatcher has the support of an emptiness realm expert. He can do whatever he wants in the secret realm. How envious! The soul snatcher actually managed to hook up with a concealed stage expert. Next up, there is no need to worry about anything else. All he has to do is lie down and win. Now that Zhao Fu had such a powerful person with him, there was no need for Zhao Fu to do anything. It would be too wasteful if he didn't use it. Therefore, he let Hua Ling exert her pressure. Her pressure would make people more fearful, making it easier for them to hand over their godly power. The crowd was confused. It wasn't that Zhao Fu was currying favor with the emptiness realm expert. Instead, it was Zhao Fu who was the emptiness realm expert's master. If this were to spread out, it would probably scare people. It was like a dream for an extreme divine realm expert to subdue an emptiness realm expert. With a smile on his face, Zhao Fu looked at the many deities below and said, "I don't want to talk nonsense. Hand over your godly power." The many deities immediately reacted and began to condense their godly power. Under the pressure of the emptiness realm expert, no one had any objections. After condensing the many godly power balls, the deities threw them. The godly power balls glowed with different colors and flew towards Zhao Fu. With a wave of his hand, Zhao Fu kept all the godly power balls into his storage ring. Following this, Zhao Fu took Hua Ling and left the place, not staying for a moment. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. The news that a god-stealer had brought along an emptiness realm expert quickly spread. Countless people were shocked. An emptiness realm expert's power was far more terrifying than an Emperor Heaven realm expert's power. Ordinary Emperor Heaven realm experts would take a detour if they met an emptiness realm expert, as they would not be able to fight against an emptiness realm expert. Even peerless geniuses would not dare to be careless when facing an emptiness realm expert. An emptiness realm expert was enough to threaten their position. Now that an emptiness realm expert had suddenly appeared in the secret realm, it was simply too unexpected. That emptiness realm expert had instantly become the person with the highest cultivation in the secret realm, and everyone could not help but feel afraid. If they met such an existence, they would only be crushed. At the same time, everyone felt envious of Zhao Fu. With the help of such a powerful person, Zhao Fu would definitely be able to pass the final trial. Moreover, no one would dare to offend him in the secret realm, and he would not have to be afraid no matter where he went. Just thinking about this felt incredibly good, and there was nothing to worry about. They did not know how Zhao Fu had managed to curry favor with an emptiness realm expert. Now they could curry favor with one as well, and Zhao Fu would not have to do anything. It was a pity that there were emptiness realm experts in the secret realm. They had heard that there were very few of them, so how could they curry favor with an emptiness realm expert and have her help them? Everyone could only think about it, but to them this was impossible. After hearing about this, Lei Tianba's expression became quite unsightly, and his heart was filled with anger. This god-stealer had found an emptiness realm expert to support him, So if he wanted to teach Zhao Fu a lesson, he would have to defeat an emptiness realm expert. An emptiness realm expert was incredibly powerful, and he would not be able to easily deal with one. Moreover, this was an emptiness realm expert in the secret realm, which meant that this person was even more powerful than an ordinary emptiness realm expert. Was he going to give up on teaching Zhao Fu a lesson? That was simply impossible, and Lei Tianba could not swallow his anger. He decided to teach Zhao Fu a lesson when he had the chance and make him suffer from his fury. Lei Tianba did not plan on continuing to chase after Zhao Fu. After chasing for so long, he still had not caught up to him, and now that Zhao Fu had another emptiness realm expert, he was in a very disadvantageous situation. Not only was it possible that he would not be able to find Zhao Fu, but it was also possible that he would not be able to defeat the emptiness realm expert after finding Zhao Fu. That would be too humiliating. As such, he decided to increase his faction while paying attention to any news related to Zhao Fu. God Kerr also heard about this, and his expression became quite unsightly. Now that Zhao Fu had the help of an expert, it would be even more difficult for him to deal with Zhao Fu. Just like everyone else, it was Zhao Fu who had subdued Hua Ling, not sucking up to her. Chapter 21:16. As for the reason, it was because an extreme divine realm expert could not possibly control an emptiness realm expert. Everyone was shocked by this news, and they started to fight. Explosions continuously sounded out as terrifying shockwaves spread out, and intense battles broke out everywhere. Those who were not very powerful, and those who surrendered were all teleported to the platform outside the secret realm. Now that these people had come out, it was impossible for them to enter again. They had no fate with the Master of the Gods. Zhao Fu and Hua Ling flew to a remote area. This time, Zhao Fu had plundered a lot of godly powers and wanted to fuse them into his body in this place. Hua Ling watched in shock as Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on the ground and fused the godly powers into his body. How do you have this ability? This is the first time I've seen someone who can devour 10,000 gods to grow. Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on the ground and smiled. There are many reasons. I will tell you when I have time. Hua Ling continued to ask, how strong is your godly power now? If you can obtain the godly powers inherited by the 24 over-gods and the godly powers here, your power should be able to become the supreme godly power in the godly realm. It will not be weaker than the creation god power given by the Pantheon mirror. Zhao Fu smiled as he absorbed the godly powers. He had said something like this before. Sooner or later, his godly power would become the supreme godly power in the godly realm. Now, Zhao Fu was confident. However, Zhao Fu did not understand what Hua Ling meant by the creation god power, so he asked. Hua Ling gave a simple explanation. The creation god power was a type of godly power given by the Pantheon mirror. It was also the supreme godly power in the godly realm. Not only was it very powerful, but it could also make countless people into God. Back then, the 25 over-gods used the creation god power to make countless people into gods, thus starting the era of gods. This kind of creation god power was not passed down. In so many years, only the Lord gods had this kind of power. There was no one else who had pure creation god power. The first soul bell tree flower grew amidst the flesh and blood of countless experts. Under the influence of the Pantheon mirror's creation god power, it became the soul bell tree flower. Right now, the soul bell tree flower had this kind of creation god power, but after some changes, it was unable to directly seal people as gods, but it could create countless divine souls. As for Zhao Fu's 10,000 deities power, when it matured, it would also have such terrifying power. After hearing Hua Ling's explanation, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and focused on fusing the various divine powers. Following that, Zhao Fu and his soul power continued forward, and under Hua Ling's senses, he found an entrance to the land of inheritance. This was a green piece of wood that was hundreds of meters wide and was shaped like a hexagon. It floated in the air and gave off an intense green light. It also gave off an incredibly powerful aura, making people feel quite shocked. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and flew forward with Hua Ling Boom. The hexagon gave off a massive power and gave off an even more blinding green light. This light shone on the ground, causing plants to quickly grow, and large amounts of plants grew in places where there were no plants. This green light had the ability to turn objects into plants. If a creature was hit by it, its body would grow plants and it would die in pain. When the green light shone on Zhao Fu's body, Zhao Fu felt a wave of plant power stab into his skin. He immediately released a defensive barrier, blocking off all of the green light, and he flew into a space filled with large trees. This was the legacy land of a tree core god. The attack power of trees was average, and it was life energy. The stone statue was of an elder who looked around 60 years old. He wore a long robe and held a wooden staff. His hair seemed to have many leaves, and his body gave off a powerful godly spirit aura. After obtaining so much legacy power, Zhao Fu did not hesitate and flew towards the stone statue, while Hua Ling waited there. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the stone statue gave off an intense green light. Leaves appeared in the air, covering the entire sky. All of them gave off a trace of cold light and were incredibly sharp. Swish, 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 the green leaves gave off sharp power and shot towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly, leaving behind rays of green light that seemed to be able to cut through everything. Zhao Fu's expression did not change, and he did not even use the Emperor Killing Sword. He directly activated Celestial Mode, and a massive wave of power exploded out from Zhao Fu's body as a rainbow-colored ring of runes appeared. Boom! A massive wave of celestial power flowed into the circle of runes, causing the rainbow-colored circle of runes to give off terrifying power. It became many times bigger and started to spin, giving off a terrifying wave of power. Bang! Bang! The green leaves giving off cold light were shattered by that terrifying power, turning into motes of light and dissipating, and they were not able to harm Zhao Fu at all. Zhao Fu continued to fly forwards, and a massive might blasted against Zhao Fu's body. The elderly man's stone statue gave off an intense green light and a massive aura, and a green magic formation appeared, giving off a faint green light and a powerful life force. Zhao Fu was prepared for this, and he flew down from the sky. He resisted the massive pressure and easily came before the stone statue. The stone statue looked down at Zhao Fu and was not surprised. Its forehead gave off a green light and a powerful wave of tree power spread out. Boom! A green ray of light containing immense power and a shocking aura quickly shot towards Zhao Fu's body, and a powerful wave of ancient tree god's power continuously flowed into Zhao Fu's body. Following this, 2 more explosions sounded out as 2 more rays of light shot out from the stone statue's forehead, giving Zhao Fu 3 legacy powers in total. After giving Zhao Fu all of the legacy powers, the aura and light that the stone statue gave off quickly became weaker. Within the secret realm, the hexagonal piece of wood gave off an intense green light and a shocking aura as it turned into a ray of light and shot into the sky. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the green orb of light exploded, and a wave of green light blasted out with unstoppable force. A powerful aura blasted out, and a wave of tree power also spread out. There were 24 magic circles in the sky, and one of them gave off a green light. It was as if the circle was filled with green light. Chapter 21:17. This was the 7th chief god's legacy power, and out of the 24 chief god's legacies, there were only 17 left. After obtaining this legacy, Zhao Fu continued to take Hua Ling to plunder other godly spirits' divine power and to search for the chief god's legacy land. 3 days later, a massive explosion sounded out as the massive 24-circle magic formation in the sky slowly spun, and a massive power spread out, covering the entire secret realm. Some of the people in the secret realm were covered by this power and felt as if they were being forcefully pulled, causing them to disappear. Now that 3 days had passed, those who had not raised their pantheon mark to blue grade were all forcefully teleported out of the secret realm. Those who were able to stay in the secret realm were all at least blue grade. After successfully passing the first stage, everyone let out a sigh of relief and hoped that the second stage would not come so soon. At that moment, Zhao Fu came to a valley in delight. As expected, there were many benefits to bringing Hua Ling with him. Under Hua Ling's guidance, Zhao Fu found a chief god's legacy land. In front of Zhao Fu was a massive earthen orb that gave off an intense yellow light. It gave off a heavy aura, and the ground seemed to be unable to withstand this aura. Cracks appeared on the ground, and some trees and rocks were crushed into pieces. This was most likely a Earth Chief God's legacy land, and Zhao Fu wanted to see if he could obtain Earth spiritual power by obtaining the Earth legacy power. The Earth Chief God was of the Earth element, so if he obtained the Earth legacy power, he should be able to obtain Earth spiritual power. Before, Zhao Fu had obtained Yin and Yang powers by obtaining the Sun legacy power and Moon legacy power. Zhao Fu now had the Yin-Yang soul fire, the metal bone, the wood body, and the water blood. He was only lacking Earth and Fire spiritual power. This was the perfect time to obtain Earth spiritual power through the Earth legacy power. Zhao Fu brought Hua Ling and flew over. The massive ball of Earth gave off an intense yellow light and gave off a terrifying gravitational force that covered the surroundings. The air seemed to twist, and the ground below continuously collapsed, giving off massive sounds. Zhao Fu used a defensive barrier to resist the gravity and easily flew into the earthen ball. The two of them came to a space where the sky gave off a yellow light. The ground was made of rocks, and there were no plants. There was also a stone statue. The stone statue was a short and fat elder with a kind face. He wore ancient clothes and his body gave off a yellow light and an earthly aura. A powerful godly spirits might covered the surroundings. There were already some people in the Great Earth God's legacy space. They wore yellow robes and gave off the Great Earth God's aura. It seemed that they belonged to a faction. Moreover, their auras were very strong, which meant that their faction should be very powerful in the God world. Otherwise, they would not be able to nurture such powerful people. Zhao Fu was about to approach. However, that group of people blocked in front of Zhao Fu. A valiant-looking young man said rudely, "This is our territory, please leave or else don't blame us." Zhao Fu frowned. This was a legacy land, and anyone with ability could obtain legacies. Even with his strength, he had never taken the initiative to chase people away, and yet these people were so domineering, saying that this was their territory and telling him to leave. By now, there were already a few people undergoing trials. These people most likely wanted to take over this legacy land so that their people could obtain all of the legacy power. Zhao Fu looked at that group of people and said unhappily, "Scram before I get angry." These words caused those people to look quite furious, and the valiant-looking young man said, "Kill those too." Boom, boom, boom. Those people gave off powerful auras and directly attacked Zhao Fu. Immense power entered their weapons, and cold lights ferociously slashed towards Zhao Fu, giving off massive sounds. Those people had traces of smiles on their faces. With so many attacks landing on that person's body, even if that person did not die, he would at least be heavily injured. However, after the lights dissipated, Zhao Fu was completely fine. A rainbow-colored energy barrier protected Zhao Fu, blocking all of the attacks. Everyone looked quite confused. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would have such great power. Hua Ling lightly laughed. These people did not even know Zhao Fu and dared to act so domineeringly in front of Zhao Fu. They were simply seeking death, and Hua Ling looked quite amused. Zhao Fu looked at them condescendingly. He was now in celestial mode, and he raised a hand. A powerful wave of power gathered, and his palm gave off a rainbow-colored aura as he vigorously slapped forwards. Boom! A massive rainbow-colored power gave off a ferocious aura as it rushed forwards. The valiant-looking young man and the others' expressions fell, and they hurriedly unleashed yellow defensive barriers. Bang! 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 The yellow defensive barriers were shattered, resulting in massive sounds. The people were sent flying back dozens of meters, and a trace of blood leaked out of their mouths as they looked at Zhao Fu with unsightly expressions. They had indeed offended a terrifying person this time, and the situation had become quite difficult to deal with. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed but did not stop. His body disappeared and reappeared in front of the valiant-looking young man, and he vigorously kicked at the valiant-looking young man's body. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the valiant-looking young man's body quickly flew backwards, smashing open a large crater on the ground. It was unknown if he was dead or alive. Zhao Fu punched out, hitting another person's chest. A few ribs on that person's chest were broken, and his body flew back. The others looked quite afraid because the power that Zhao Fu had temporarily released was simply too great. Bang! 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 Zhao Fu continuously unleashed attacks, sending massive waves of power towards the group of people. Those people were unable to defend at all, and they were all heavily injured as they fell to the ground. Not a single one of them was able to escape. The people who had been taking the test noticed what was happening, and they could only temporarily stop attacking and fly over to Zhao Fu. There were 5 of them, 3 men and 2 women, and the leader was a fair-skinned young man. The auras that they gave off were much more powerful than the others. The fair-skinned young man looked at Zhao Fu, and his expression was quite unsightly as he said, "You're that god-stealer." With Zhao Fu's fame, ordinary people might not recognize Zhao Fu, but with the fair-skinned young man's status and power, it was impossible for him not to know Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the fair-skinned young man and coldly replied, The fair-skinned young man looked at Hua Ling, who was behind Zhao Fu, and said, "My people offended you just now. I'm very sorry." Even if the fair-skinned young man did not apologize, there was nothing he could do. It was rumored that Zhao Fu alone had the power of an exceptional genius, and he also had an emptiness realm expert by his side. Ordinary exceptional geniuses would not dare to offend him. Chapter 21:18. The fair-skinned young man was incredibly powerful, but facing a void realm expert, he could only be suppressed. They could not afford to offend such a person. If they did not apologize and offended such a person, it was possible that they would not be able to escape and would most likely die here. The fair-skinned young man and the others all looked quite fearful. They had already been taught a lesson by Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu had vented his anger. They could only hope that things would end here and that Zhao Fu would not pursue this matter. Zhao Fu glanced at them and ignored them. If they did not apologize, Zhao Fu would not mind heavily injuring them. Following this, Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura as he flew over and came before the stone statue. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the stone statue gave off an intense yellow light and a massive earthen aura spread out. The ground continuously trembled as dirt continuously gathered, forming a dirt giant that was hundreds of meters tall. It gave off a massive aura and a powerful aura of suppression, making people feel quite afraid. Zhao Fu did not mind and took out the emperor-killing sword and casually slashed out. A sword hum sounded out as a black crescent containing immense power slashed out, hitting the earthen giant's abdomen and splitting it in half, causing it to collapse. Boom! Another massive aura spread out as the dirt quickly gathered, forming a massive dirt giant. It raised its hand and gave off terrifying power as it slashed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu held his sword and his expression did not change. His body slowly floated forwards and he vigorously slashed out, sending out a powerful black sword light that slashed against the dirt giant's chest. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the earth giant was once again split in half by Zhao Fu's strike. It turned into countless chunks of earth and collapsed, causing dust to fly everywhere. Boom! Boom! Massive sounds continuously sounded out as dirt giants that were hundreds of meters tall continuously formed, giving off terrifying power. Their auras flooded out, shaking the surroundings. Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he floated forwards and continuously slashed out sword lights with the Emperor Killing Sword. Bang! 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 Massive sounds continuously sounded out as the dirt giants giving off immense power and charging at Zhao Fu were slashed apart. Their bodies crumbled and turned into dirt, causing dust to fill the air. In the end, Zhao Fu floated in front of the stone statue, which once again gave off a massive might and blasted against Zhao Fu's body. However, Zhao Fu descended from the sky as if nothing had happened and walked in front of the stone statue. The stone statue looked down at Zhao Fu and gave a pleased smile. A yellow light came from its forehead and a wave of earthen power spread out. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a yellow ray of light shot out from the statue's forehead, giving off a massive aura as it shot towards Zhao Fu. It was incredibly fast, and in just an instant, a massive amount of earthen power entered Zhao Fu's body. Sensing the massive power in his body, Zhao Fu smirked and closed his eyes as he focused on absorbing this earthen god's power. Zhao Fu's body gave off a yellow light as his body was filled with earthen power, and his body gave off a powerful earthen aura. By now, the fair-skinned young man had already saved the people who had been heavily injured by Zhao Fu. Seeing Zhao Fu obtain the god's legacy power so quickly, everyone felt quite shocked. Those rumors had been true, that Gottseiser had the same power as a peerless genius. Fortunately, there had not been too much conflict with him, or else the outcome would have been quite tragic. Back then, some people had felt that the fair-skinned young man apologizing to Zhao Fu was too shameful. After all, their faction was a famous faction in the godly world, and they were usually the ones bullying others. Now that Zhao Fu had not only hit their people, but they had also taken the initiative to apologize, they felt incredibly disgraced. Moreover, they had only heard about how powerful Zhao Fu was and how he had an emptiness realm expert by his side. However, they had not seen it for themselves, so they could not tell if it was true or not. They had wanted to attack Zhao Fu, but the fair-skinned young man had taken the initiative to apologize. The fair-skinned young man was the person with the highest status and was also the most powerful person in the faction. Since the fair-skinned young man was their leader, they could only endure it. Now, it seemed that the fair-skinned young man's decision was right. Boom! At this moment, the stone statue's forehead gave off an even brighter yellow light, and an even more powerful aura spread out. A yellow light shot out with the enormous power of the earth, and landed on Zhao Fu's body, and a massive amount of power flowed into him. Zhao Fu frowned. The earthen god was very powerful, and its element was also of the earth element. However, it did not give Zhao Fu the power of the spirit of the earth. Instead, it gave Zhao Fu the power of the god of the earth. The power of the god of the earth and the power of the spirit of the earth were two completely different types of power. One belonged to a deity, while the other belonged to a spiritual body. Zhao Fu had thought wrongly. He could not obtain the power of the god of the earth to obtain the power of the god of the earth. However, when he obtained the power of the sun and the god of the moon, why did he obtain the power of yin and yang? After thinking about it, Zhao Fu realized that the Tai Chi diagram on his chest had been very useful. It had transformed a portion of the two types of godly power into pure yin and yang spirit energy. The Tai Chi diagram itself was of the yin and yang element, so it could transform them. However, it was not of the earth element, so it could not transform the spirit energy of the earth element. It seemed that he would not be able to obtain the remaining earth and fire spirit energy in the godly realm, so he would have to go to the spirit domain. After awakening the God Race's Emperor Star, Zhao Fu definitely had to go to the spirit domain because he needed to awaken the spirit race's Emperor Star. After awakening the God Race's Emperor Star, only the spirit race's Emperor Star and the water race's Emperor Star remained. Zhao Fu did not know how to awaken the water race's Emperor Star, so he did not know how to awaken it. As for the spirit race's Emperor Star, Zhao Fu had already found an opportunity, which was to obtain the yin-yang 5 elements constitution. If he continued, he would be able to obtain the spirit race's Emperor Star. As such, the spirit race's Emperor Star was Zhao Fu's next target. Zhao Fu did not need to think too much about this and continued to absorb the Earth God's power. As the power of 24 ancient gods, the Earth God's power was quite powerful and would be of great help to Zhao Fu. Everyone watched on in shock. This was the second legacy power, and it was enough to prove that Zhao Fu had immense potential and was greatly favored by the stone statue. However, the following scene caused them to look dumbfounded, unable to believe that this was real. Boom! 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 Explosions continuously sounded out as wave after wave of legacy power shot out from the stone statue's forehead. Waves of powerful Earth God's power continuously entered Zhao Fu's body. 1, 2, 3, 4. In the end, everyone could only watch as the stone statue passed all 10 of the great Master God's legacy power to that person before slowly disappearing. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.